lightning being the god of the Toriko cult. You're all a part of it.
Don't worry, I got to the part where I saw
Oh
the
my
ugly
god,
bastard
we're
factory.
live! Oh my god, nothing happened. Nothing happened.
Waiting for Miss Call.
You're not Zoro, Misc. I'm sorry. You're
Shut-
cool, man, but you're not that cool.
Not a fucking thing. Not a singular thing occurred. Don't.
Listen, there we go. Better lines. Because I love you, Misc. I love you. But you're not Zoro. You can't say nothing.
Not yet, right?
Look,
Our rematch with OBS and my internet connection.
I don't think anybody in our servers, in any of our collective servers, can say nothing happened. We're not Zoro level. I'm sorry. None of us.
I mean, like, have you seen Bernice?
Have you looked at me?
Yo, Fat Rat is Zoro level. Be honest.
Yeah.
Fat Rat is not Zoro.
No,
The stream
Fat Rat
has
is
not
literally-
actually started because it's
Dude.
not getting data from OBS.
Yo, Fat Rat is literally my version of Kenji beat Goku.
Fat Rat is no. You know, Fat Rat is can I beat Saitama, not can I beat. Goku.
Oh boy, yeah, there we go.
Yeah, Goku's on another level. You gotta remember. And then you have Toriko, which is on Goku level. So
Yo, Fat Rat solos the Toriko verse. I don't know what else happens in the Toriko verse with Fat Rat.
No. I'll tell you right now, Band. No matter what bullshit you came up with in your mind, you cannot beat the Toriko verse.
You will
No,
not beat
dude.
Toriko until you read Toriko and literally just steal shit
You
from
will
it.
literally. I'm telling
Okay,
you, man.
bet.
Read Toriko and then admit to us that you were wrong. Because
No. What I'll do, I will read Toriko and then look for the strongest character and just have Fat Rat do some shit that character cannot.
Try.
Oh no, I get the phone.
I dare you. I bet you $10 Canadian.
Oh
Good
no,
luck.
I'm gonna get some really wonky shit.
Oh,
No,
apparently,
I'm saying
allegedly,
it,
the
good
stream
luck.
has started. But it's not getting any fucking playback, so it's just buffer. Oh, it says no data.
Miss?
I don't know what the fuck's going
Neve?
on. Studio is not getting data from OBS.
Miss Neve, can you both confirm that that Band will not be able to create a character that can beat Toriko verse?
Oh
We're
boy.
not here.
Alright, bet. I'm looking forward to showing him off.
Yeah, I can confirm. It will be a very tough time to.
Yeah,
Alright.
Band, without reading Toriko, you will not be able to beat Toriko.
Alright.
Especially a certain world, I guess, of course.
There are like the top 5 in the verse of Toriko. Band will not top.
Yeah. The two hacks.
I'm gonna sit
Yeah,
here.
yeah, Ben,
we will have
Ben,
spent
we're
like
talking-
a fucking hour trying to fix
Ben,
this shit.
you read Bleach, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So you know Yuha?
Oh, okay. If Fat Rat and
Yuha
Yuha
is
fought,
not in the top 5
oh shit.
of Toriko. Is not in the top 5. So there you go.
GG.
Use that as a scale. Now tell me you're gonna beat the top.
Well, Fat Rat would have fought if Yuha anyway.
Well, I look forward. To what he's gonna do.
You know, I feel like a little kid talking about how my OC can beat everyone else's OC or some shit. No, my imaginary friend can beat everyone else's imaginary
My
friend.
you don't know that.
imaginary friend can beat yours. Apparently, part of this is live. I don't.
Apart from
Now
wow.
I'm so downtrodden.
Yo, Band, if you continue reading to like the early 300s,
I'm going
there's
to
gonna be
read.
something that will be perfect for Fat Rat.
Oh, I'm gonna read. I don't know when, but I will continue. You're on chapter like 71.
God, you're like.
I got to the point where I actually read a bit, but I didn't post the pictures. But I read where the dude was like, he had like a factory of ugly bastards, so like, it was all over the fucking place, and he wasn't even there or some shit. Kind of crazy.
The ugly bastard
Man,
factory.
I'll say it right now.
Yeah.
One of the big reasons, not because we love Toriko, but one of the big reasons we want you to read Toriko is because we think you'll have inspiration from it. You're
I
drawing
will.
an amazing comic, and I can use that term, amazing. I love
Really?
your comic. I really do. Like, I like the art style. I see the Shaman King mixed with Mashima's sort of art style for me. That's what I see. And I love the art style, and I love the comic, and I love the story direction. And I just think if you read more Toriko, you would be inspired to make more of the same. Like, you don't understand how, like, especially the last chapter, you don't understand how much Toriko you already have in your story. And if you read more Toriko, you would be able to, like, almost sense your, like, things you already have in your brain, but you'd be able to evolve them.
Hey, so apparently, the fuck just fell over? Oh, some shit I had. That just scared the shit out of me. Apparently the stream is working now. Yeah, I'm fine. Something just fell over.
Yo, I should also. Okay, I'm gonna mention to you people that are in here. So you know how I'm currently like bi-weekly, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm gonna say this now. I mean, I said in the fucking like little extra why I went bi-weekly, but like after I have like a fucking 20 chapter buffer, no less than fucking 20 chapters, I'll probably go back to weekly. And then if I ever get caught up, then I'll go back to bi-weekly, just kind of switch. But I'll be honest, dude, this bi-weekly shit fucking eats at me because I really wish I could just drop chapters weekly again.
You know you can. You can
No,
just do
I can, but I'm not going to. I need to improve my artwork.
Misc, you and I talked about this today in my Discord. We would love for mangakas to be able to, when they take a break, take a fucking break. Take a breather. Let them have their time. So
I need to improve.
As much as Ben wants to go, hey, here's the greatest reveal. Here's Aizen as the bad guy, Bleach level. Every fucking week, guess what? If it burns him out, it's not good.
It's not a good
So,
so the stream is working now. I have no idea how much it's delayed, because it's clearly delayed a fucking bit compared to what I have up in OBS. But the stream's not.
Yo, speak.
Literally, as I fucking say it, Studio starts to have the little spinning white ring in the middle of the screen, but now it's gone. Oh.
Yo, maybe I'll put NFTs in the comments.
No!
That would be... You could theoretically be sued for that. Anyway, oh my god, this is literally the most sidetracked thing we have ever fucking done before on here. I was supposed to be doing a fucking tier list.
An hour and a half ago.
Yeah. Jesus fucking Christ. Well, that stressed me the fuck out. If only there was something that could lift my mood, like getting a big
ladies
super
and gentlemen, Misc Content is a Florida man and a very angry person as a result of being a Florida man.
Yeah,
so,
my Floridian rage
has shown.
Okay, so now we have Vanguard. Go watch the VOD of the last stream if that was fucking coherent at all. Basically, Vanguard just kind of exists. Yeah, it's one of those bosses. A lot of the Demon Souls bosses are just kind of there. A lot of them have gimmicks of some kind. It seemed like with Demon Souls, they wanted to make bosses more of kind of like a puzzle thing than anything else. As opposed to later games where they're just straight up combat encounters. And we'll see that with quite a few of them. Phalanx, another one that's just kind of there. Fairly unremarkable. It's just a big blob with a bunch of other shielded blobs around it. You can just chuck a bunch of fire bombs at it and it dies. Not really much to say about it. I guess it's the first real boss in any Souls game. You know, the first one you're not supposed to die to. Not really much else to say. Then after that, we have the probably single most iconic boss from Demon Souls, the Tower Knight, which I would actually put up to B, because it's fairly basic, but I think the sort of puzzle components of it are kind of interesting, where if you don't go up the staircases on the side, you're going to have archers shooting at you the whole time, and then much of the boss fight is getting around trying to hack a Tower Knight's ankles so that he falls over and you can attack his head. It's a neat boss. It's fun. It's one of the better bosses in Demon Souls. I think it's good enough to be up in B tier. Then, let's see. I believe the order in which I did things was I then went and fought the Armor Spider, which is the boss for the first area of Stonefang Tunnels. It's got a little bit more dynamic stuff than some of the other bosses, mostly because you kind of fight it in a tunnel that it shoots you through. You're kind of like a fish in a barrel when you fight it. Which makes it kind of interesting. Not really too much else to say about it other than that. Then after that, I believe I fought where the fuck is he? The Adjudicator. He's kind of a thing that exists. Not really much of a fight. Apparently, you really should lock onto his weak spots when you're attacking them. Otherwise, you seem to kind of just fucking miss. I don't know why. It's a little janky, but it's basically Vanguard, but there's more puzzle components involved. It's another boss that you need to knock over and smack in the head. Or I guess you can theoretically not do that. You can shoot its head with magic, so you don't have to knock it down. But, it's one of those. Then, who the fuck did I beat after this?
Be able to, jump up and hit it?
Yeah. No, it's too high up to do that.
Just make it shrink. Simple as that.
I guess. Fool's Idol. Kind of fucking annoying with the dumb magic shock traps on the floor. Kind of obnoxious. Kind of annoying. Not really too much to say about it. It's one of those bosses that's really just kind of there. Then I believe after Fool's Idol, I defeated the Flame Lurker, who is one of the better bosses in Demon Souls. Why is that? Because it's kind of like some of the decent bosses in the later games. What do I mean by that? You just fight it. It's a very aggressive, kind of fast enemy that jumps around, does slamming attacks, swipes at you, shit like that. It's a big demon. It's the one that looks most like a demon out of pretty much every other enemy in Demon Souls.
It was a very Legend of Zelda boss.
Are you aware of the Flame Lurker?
Yeah, I played Demon Souls.
Well, how much? You gave me the impression that you only played a little bit of it.
Well, no, I played a decent amount. What do you call a decent amount? I don't know what the halfway point of the game was, alright? So, I never finished the game, but God knows how far I got. So.
Alright, well, we'll see if we can figure out how many bosses you managed to beat. Next, the first archdemon I defeated, the Dragon God. The big dragon they have in the intro cutscene. If you defeat the Vanguard demon in the tutorial, the Dragon God is the thing that punches you into the Nexus. So, having such a fucking awesome design, they kind of hyped it up, and I assume the intro cutscene was like a promotional thing they released. In fact, I'm pretty sure... Did they release that as the first reveal trailer? I think they did for the remake.
Probably.
So anyway, Dragon God is a boss that has a lot of big hype. Fuck this boss into oblivion. It's shit. It's really bad.
Out here.
They probably could not figure out a way to have you fight a fucking skyscraper-sized enemy, so instead, it's a stealth boss in a game that doesn't have actual fully-fledged stealth components.
Yeah, it's not Metal Gear Solid.
It's not Metal Gear Solid. Its detection is kind of fucking inconsistent at times.
It's not Assassin's Creed, it's not Arkham Asylum.
No, it took me like half an hour to beat, because if it sees you and you don't fucking run back to the start or wherever before it attacks, you just die. And you have to redo the whole thing if you die like halfway through doing it.
I think this is where I never got past.
I had a feeling that you probably didn't get past Dragon God.
Yeah.
Because it's just bad.
I mean, remember,
it's
this is
bad game design.
Whatever Demon Souls came out.
2009.
2000. So I was in high school. So I played this game up until that point, and I think that's probably where I gave up.
I would say that Dragon God is probably, it's a big fuck off enemy that one-shots you in a lava level. It's the prototype for the worst boss ever.
Yeah. No, this is as far as I got in Demon Souls.
Yeah, it's shit. It's really bad. This is the type of boss that would make people stop playing the game. Because it's not clear how you're supposed to beat it initially. It becomes obvious once you see the big fucking ballistas at the other sides of the arena. But you don't see those when they come in. If they had like an intro cutscene that was like, look at these fucking the ballistas on each side of the arena that you have to attack this fucking thing.
I'm a guy who played Demon Souls and died to the first 3 skeletons. When I first started playing.
Yeah.
So,
well, were they just like the random bozos in the first area?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Because I was gonna say the actual skeleton enemies in Demon Souls are kind of brutal. They're kind of vicious.
Yeah. No. When I first started, I had to pick one of the entry points, right? And I would always pick the same entry point, and then there'd be the castle or the keep or whatever. I would run forward. I'd kill the first one, kill the second one, and then the third one would come out to me, and I was like, shit.
Yeah, you go, shit.
That was the beginning of the fail, but yeah.
The beginning of the fail.
Mm-hmm.
Let me check back in the gaming channel so that I can see who I was beating in what order, because I don't remember exactly which boss I went on to beat after I defeated Dragon God. Obviously, I'm done with Stonefang at that point, so it was either Latria or Shrine of Storms. Well, went to one of those after that. Man-Eaters. Okay, Man-Eaters. Man-Eaters are a boss that walk a very fine line between being hard in a challenging way and being hard in kind of a bullshit way. Because it's an enemy that can fly, it does big charging attacks that knock you over, and you fight it on a bridge with no real railings. They're kind of railings, but you don't have like fully fledged railings everywhere, so you can get knocked off the bridge. There's a central circular area that you have to go around to get to the other side of the bridge. I imagine that's just a fucking death zone. Now, I actually beat Man-Eaters on my second try, because I'm already aware of the primary danger of Man-Eaters, which is falling off the bridge. So I stuck right by the entrance to the boss arena and just fought them there. So I didn't have too much of an issue with it. I am pretty sure the one death that I had was getting knocked off by the second one, because you get the first Man-Eater down to like half health. The Man-Eaters themselves are not that hard. They're just kind of like a souped up version of the normal gargoyle enemies that you have in the Tower of Latria. But then the second one comes in. Basically, the deal with Man-Eaters is you want to kill the first one as fast as humanly fucking possible, so that you're basically only dealing with one at a time. If you can manage to do that in a time-effective manner, great. The second one is basically just doing the same shit you did as the first one. Make sure you're either not dodging off of the bridge, or you have enough moongrass to stay healed up. If you can do that, you're going to be A-okay. Then, after Man-Eaters, I probably went to fight Old Monk. Yes, I went to fight the Old Monk. Do we have him on here? Yes. So, the Old Monk is weird. The Old Monk is very strange in that it can be a PvP boss. The Old Monk, you don't fight the Old Monk himself. I forget his name. I know we get it from the Archstone from his boss. Actually, let me go check that. Tower of Latria, Archstones. What is it? It says his name in here, doesn't it? No, it doesn't. That's weird. I thought it did. Anyway, his name starts with like a Y or something. You don't fight the old monk himself. You don't fight the actual archdemon. He summons a guy that you fight, and the guy is controlled by the golden robes that now controlled the old monk. And if you play online, it's just like a normal NPC invader, and that's what I got. It's pretty easy, surprisingly non-aggressive. They probably should not have given him like the claw weapons, because the dude has like no range. However, if you're online and the servers are active, the old monk is an enemy player. So the difficulty you experience with the boss is almost entirely dependent on whoever has been summoned as the old monk. If it summons someone who is literally AFK, you will just defeat a boss that doesn't fucking do anything. But if you fight someone that maybe played Demon's Souls as their first Souls game in 2009, and it's their favorite Souls game, they keep the PS3 down in the basement just to go back and play Demon's Souls every once in a while, you're in for a rough time. But, you know, if it's an NPC, it's just kind of easy. Kind of easy money. Then, after that, we go back to the Shrine of Storms where we have the old hero, who is pretty cool, I guess. Now, I was extremely anxious while fighting the old hero. Not because he was really difficult. I mean, the old hero is really intimidating. Something that they did really well with him is, first off, big guy, big sword. That's usually kind of intimidating. But his attacks are really goddamn fast, and they did a really good job with the sound design, because the dude is like fucking yelling at you every time he swings his sword around. He sounds very intimidating. The sound design, the voice acting in the Demon's Souls remake is really good, because you have to go through the entirety of the ritual path to get to the old hero. It took me in excess of 20 tries to get through the ritual path. Fuck the ritual path. I hate the ritual path. It's bullshit. Is that because I try to run through it and not just kill all... Maybe, actually. Maybe next time, when I'm not in a rush, kind of, I will spend 45 fucking minutes killing all of the ghosts and shit. But in the meantime, getting through the entire ritual path just to get to the old hero makes me want to kill myself. It's fucking awful. So the old hero himself is pretty good. He's a decent, big humanoid boss. The fact that he's blind is an interesting component, because you just kind of sneak around him. If you have the Thief's Ring on, it makes it so that his detection is way lower, so it's much easier to like walk up behind him and get attacks on him and shit. It's a neat boss. It's an interesting boss.
Okay.
Next, we have... Where is he? Where is... There he is, the Storm King. He's alright. It's mostly a cinematic boss. Most of the actual threat from the Storm King comes from the other little fucking manta ray things that he has flying around up there. But the Storm King himself just kind of exists as a big target for you to use the Storm Ruler on, because the Storm Ruler is really fucking cool. And of course, much like in Dark Souls 3, the Storm Ruler doesn't really do dick on anything else. It just exists to kill the Storm King. Which, is cool enough. At least, cool arena, you're fighting a gigantic flying manta ray out in a fucking rainstorm with a sword that splits the storms.
That sounds really damn cool.
It is really damn cool. It's not that hard or anything. Well, it's cool for the cinematic purposes. Then I do believe after the Storm King, we went to fight the Penetrator. Yes, that's his actual name. I believe the guy's name is Metas the Penetrator, but the reason he's called the Penetrator is because he's got a really fucking long sword. I don't know if I put this guy up... Nah, I'll have him below Flame Lurker. I think Flame Lurker is probably the best boss in Demon Souls. It's probably the best boss. But the Penetrator is like the coolest boss. You know, he's in the it's a competition between Penetrator and Flamelurker. Flamelurker's a really cool demon thing that looks like a demon. It's a fire demon. Penetrator is like the original cool knight guy with a sword that we have like 24 of after the fact.
More the merrier.
Yeah, I mean his sword. The reason he gets the name is because he has a sword, the blade of which is like as long as a fucking spear. He uses his sword like a spear at times.
Whoa.
Also, he kills one of the fat officials as his intro cutscene, and those guys suck, so that's cool. I assume we also used that as inspiration for Artorias after the fact, which is a good sign. I love the way that they changed the effects on his sword and arm in the remake. In the original, it's just kind of this weird shimmering blue effect that I think like Artorias' sword had also. It didn't age that well. Whereas in the remake, the Penetrator's arm and sword are all wreathed in like this flowing crimson cloud of, I don't know, demon blood magic or something. And it lights on fire when he is going to do a grab attack on you, stab you with the sword. It's pretty fucking cool. The big endeavor. Yeah, I mean, I assume Bluepoint realized, Penetrator is probably the coolest guy in the game. So, what we should do as our usual brand thing of including a super secret in our remakes is add the Penetrators set to the game, because that didn't exist in the original.
Yeah, of course.
So what I'm going to have to do is, I believe I have to play on fractured mode, so the screen is flipped vertically. And then I have to play through all of the levels on pure black tendency and pure white tendency to get the rusted coins, and then I have to do that again in New Game Plus. And then I have to trade all of those to the crows in Shrine of Storms to get the rusted ring, which I then use to go open the secret door in the Inner Ward in Boletaria, and then I can get his armor.
That is a...
What? It is frankly, I don't know if it's... I think it's more complicated, but I don't think it requires as much work as the other secret in the Shadow of the Colossus remake. They hid fucking 40-something little bright lights around the map of Shadow of the Colossus, which is fucking huge, and you go and collect all of them to get a secret sword. Hey Nigel, welcome back.
The whole screen flipping mode sounds really hard to get used to.
It is. It basically exists to make it feel like you're playing the game for the first time again, because now you have to reacquaint yourself with where everything is. Also, it's weird to hit R1 to swing a weapon that appears to be in your character's left hand. Anyway, after Penetrator, I decided, okay, now I've saved the Valley of Defilement for last, so let's put those guys in there. Leechmonger is kind of poopy. So is the Dirty Colossus. Yeah. Then we have the only good thing in the Valley of Defilement, other than the Moonlight Greatsword, and that would be Maiden Estrella, who is a cool kind of lore boss thing. It's mostly a lore boss. It's a moral conundrum. Estrella is the only demon we encounter who is a good person. She went to the Valley of Defilement because it's a place where all of the neglected and forgotten things are left to rot away and die. And she went there with her miracles to ease the suffering of the outcasts and unfortunates who were cast into the valley. And this was further accomplished by becoming a demon through the power of the Old One. And then we go and kill her, because we gotta kill those fucking archdemons to go and lull the Old One back to sleep. So we're kind of terrible people for killing her. And Garo Vinland just sticks around because his fucking job is to protect Estraya regardless of whether or not she's a demon. So even though she's become a demon, he's like, yeah, my job's to protect Estraya, whatever. You're not getting fucking past me. So then I just killed her from range. So I didn't have to fight Vinland.
Jeez.
I didn't want to fight Garl because I had a slashing weapon and that was doing like dick for damage against him. And he has that big fuck-off hammer that he one-shots you if he parries you. So then I was just like, yeah, this is kind of hard. I'm just going to upgrade a bow and then shoot Estraya to death from the distance. Yeah.
The one-shot counter does seem rather broken.
Oh, cool. There's a tier list for the fights now. That's very convenient.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
The Lamau tier.
It's not a thing. Who put the Lamau? Listen, I just put the
Lol, simply Lamau.
I put my Alan fight in the main booth here.
That is so fucking funny.
God, yeah.
Anyway, now we go off and we fight the basically final boss, Old King Allant, False King Allant, whatever you want to call him. I'll put him in B tier above Penetrator because he has more mechanics. So, Old King Allant is also called False King Allant because he's not actually King Allant. He is a demonic reflection of him. He's basically a fake version of him created. The same goes for the Phalanx, the Tower Knight, and the Penetrator. These are all just reflections created by the old one that are kind of like embodiments of the perceptions of the people that they're based on. The Phalanx, I mean, the legions of Boletaria are probably imagined as just this fucking mass of shields and thrown spears. The Tower Knight, I mean, he seems to be like the immovable wall protecting Boletaria, so people would imagine him as just like a fucking giant wall of metal. And then the Penetrator's just, he's the same, but I guess his sword is a lot longer, and he looks way cooler, so yeah. And then, it seems like Old King Allant was actually created by Allant himself. That seemed to be something that he was able to do. Or the old one just kind of put it there. I don't fucking know. But he's not the real guy. He's way cooler than the real guy. His intro cutscene is kind of sick as shit. I kind of actually prefer the original version. At least in terms of like the animations and shit. I mean, of course, it looks the actual graphics look way better in the remake, but I prefer the movements in the intro cutscene for the original version. But I'm sorry, guys, but the remake version of Old King Allant's theme is just way better. I understand the original version with like the organs and stuff fit in way better with kind of the creepy atmosphere of Demon Souls, but the remake OST is just so much nicer to listen to. Anyway, King Allant's neat. He's just kind of like a big knight guy who fights you with a sword. But the interesting thing is that almost all of his attacks also have a range attack that comes out of them, so you should like fucking never dodge back in front of him, otherwise you'll get hit with the attack anyway. He has a cool range attack, and also, the most important thing of him is he has a level drain ability. Soul sucking. He can literally drain your soul levels from you, and people used this to respec their characters because there's no system in Demon Souls for respecking. So they would go fight Old King Allant and just have him keep using the soul drain ability to lower their soul level so that they could invest in other stats.
Oh, people are now calling the law, don't win air. I see, fascinating.
Yeah, so anyway, that's pretty cool. Then we have the quote-unquote real final boss, aka the real King Allant. This is not a fight. I put it up here because it's not bullshit like Dragon God, but he is literally like a fucking massive sludge that just kind of moves around a bit and tries to attack you, and then talks about how, no, actually, the old one is good because basically the Buddhist reincarnation shit where life is fucking awful. You just get reincarnated forever because souls exist forever. The old one is able to erase souls from existence, so it's like fucking escaping the cycle of reincarnation and reaching nirvana. Except you just get eaten by the old one, I guess. You just stop existing.
It's one way, something.
Yeah, there's nothing really good about him other than that you get Soulsborne. I forget which of the King's Swords you get from the True King a lot. I don't know. Anyway, that's Demon Souls. This is the component that's now here because I've played the remake. As you can see, none of the bosses in Demon Souls are particularly remarkable. Some of them are just kind of good. And some of them are just kind of meh. Now, anything important in the chat? Let's have a look-see here. Anything really? Not really. Corey likes the sound of Tower of Latria. It is probably the coolest location in the game, and it has the coolest name. I mean, Latria just sounds like a cool place. And then you say it's a tower.
Oh, that's really... Ooh. Well, there. Storm Shrine sounds cool, though. Or Shrine of Storm, whatever it was.
Yes, indeed. So now then, time for Dark Souls 1. And Dark Souls 1 starts off with, well, basically Vanguard again. The Stray Demon. Or the Asylum Demon. I actually prefer Vanguard Demon's design, so I'm going to put him above the Asylum Demon. That's about it. Actually, no, you know what? I think I should put Asylum Demon above Vanguard, because the Asylum Demon is actually a thing that you're meant to beat. It does a way better job of kind of showing shit off to you. It's better as a tutorial boss. Next, we have... Where is he? Where is he? Where are you? Where is the bull man? There he is, the Taurus demon. He kind of exists. He's kind of there. You can usually beat him in about 20 seconds if you know what you're doing. Yeah, really not much to say about him. Then we have the Bell Gargoyles, who are cool. They're basically the man-eaters, but not as much potential bullshit involved. As you can kind of see already, the start of Dark Souls 1 is basically, why don't we take some of the things from Demon Souls and make it a little better, a little more refined, a little more enjoyable, a little bit more advanced. Corias, how's Griever's JJK review out before Misc's? Impressed but depressed? Oh, because he just does it earlier. I just haven't gotten around to doing it. I may record it tonight after the stream, depending on how late we end, or I'll do it tomorrow morning.
Maybe. Alright, you could wait for the officials and there'll be one of those quirky people who are a little silly and do.
I remember I used to do that, and then as soon as I stopped, Sunday reviews got like shit for views. Now that shit for views is the normal amount of views, I guess.
Maybe
anyway, after the Bell Gargoyles, there are a few paths to go on. You can theoretically go and fight the Stray Demon, which is just kind of a, frankly, kind of bullshit reskin of the Asylum Demon. I don't particularly like the Stray Demon. The other possible route, if you're going the purely linear path... Actually, no. You can fight the Moonlight Butterfly, which exists. Yeah, it just kind of exists. If you don't have a range... Oh, Sun Eater Griever just left. I don't know, he had shit to do. Man has his own stuff he has to do in life. Man, we got a lot of shit going on in the Discord tonight. Or this is just what happens when I don't check it for 2 hours. Yeah, talking about King and shit. Where was I? Oh yeah, if you don't have ranged attacks, it's kind of fucking annoying, so you basically should always just summon Beatrice to just shoot the shit out of it. I fought Moonlight Butterfly the other day, and I did literally nothing. I didn't do a single fucking attack on it. Beatrice just did all the damage. So yeah, that's the thing. Then, okay, now if we're going the actual linear path, we get to the... Where is he? I lost him. Capra Demon. Fuck this boss. You put it in a tiny little arena. Okay, let me set the stage for you. Very small square arena. On the left side, there is a staircase going up, which provides you kind of a... you can get a high ground, but this further decreases the amount of room available on the ground level. You'll notice in the little icon here, there are two dogs here, because you have the Capra Demon, and then there are two dog enemies in there. These dog enemies can attack you the fucking second you come out of the fog gate, and if they attack you, they're going to stun you. Then the Capra Demon does a jumping attack, and you die.
Perfect combo.
So, what you need to do when you fight Capra Demon is you have to go rolling around in this very small arena, which naturally fucks around with the camera, because it's a really small arena and the camera doesn't like that. You have to deal with these dog enemies, and dog enemies are the fucking worst in these games. You have to deal with those without getting hit by Capra, because if you do get hit by him, you are probably going to get staggered and do a combo that'll kill you. Then you have to fight Capra Demon himself in an arena that's really small and hard to dodge around in.
But why are the dogs bad?
Because they stun you, and they do a bunch of attacks so they can just kind of stun lock you, and then Capra Demon hits you like once or twice and you're dead.
I was thinking maybe it was like this small...
Oh, my favorite.
Frankly, once you kill the dogs, the Capra Demon's not that bad. But basically, just including the dogs, the arena is bad, and then including the dogs makes this, like, borderline bullshit. Capra Demon is a playthrough killer. It's a wall, kind of like Dragon God, where new players will encounter it, and they'll be like, oh, this is bullshit, fuck this, and then stop playing the game. Bad move. Next up, going down into the depths, we have the giant... Where is it? Where is he? The giant toothy vagina monster known as the Gaping Dragon.
Yeah, something for that.
It has a big, frankly, pretty fucking cool design. Very unique. It's probably the most distinctive design of, like, fucking anything in the franchise. I mean, it's a big multi-legged dragon with a little alligator head, but its entire, like, fucking body, its entire chest cavity is just a big mouth full of teeth.
Stylish.
Quite. But he's not too difficult, it's mostly just style. There's nothing particularly great or bad about it. It's an enemy you can get a tail weapon from, which is always neat, like with the Bell Gargoyles, and that's about it. Well then, proceeding down into arguably the worst area in the game, we have Chaos Witch Quelaag, who I would probably put around like the same tier as these guys. Cool. Not really much to say about her. The Fury Sword is like the best weapon for a Pyromancer build, though various things in the area from here. Yeah, I played through a Pyromancer build like semi-recently, and I got to one of the bosses, one of the demon bosses that lives in a fire area, and I used the Chaos Fury Sword, and it did 2 points of damage. To clarify, on most enemies at that point in the game, you'll be doing several hundred points of damage. So, basically, your attacks do nothing. I beat it by using a speedrun trick that got it to jump out of the map and kill itself. But yeah, we'll get to that later. That was a little off track. So Quelaag exists.
Nice.
Then we go back up. Get up. And we go through the hellhole of Sen's fortress. And atop the fortress, we fight... Where the fuck is he? The Iron Golem. He's a guy, he exists. Most of the Iron Golem is just kind of like a big guy in armor, and I mean, well, technically he's just the armor. Now, most of the appeal of the Iron Golem is the mechanic of the arena. It's small-ish arena. There's no railings on the sides, so it's possible to fall off and die. For both of you. When you attack the Iron Golem's legs, which you're going to be doing because he's fucking big, after a while, if you do enough stagger damage, or, if you attack him with weapons that, damage poise, he eventually starts to stagger. And if you hit him more, he can fall over. And if you hit him while he's at the edge of the arena, he will just fall out of the arena and die instantly. Now, this is improved even more when you summon the best NPC in any Souls game ever, Black Iron Tarkus, who will go and fight the Iron Golem by himself while you watch and has knocked it off the fucking roof. There is a famous video from, around when Dark Souls came out, because it was, still in fucking Japanese, of Tarkus doing this, and then when the Super Best Friends did their full playthrough of Dark Souls, I remember being so excited for the episode when they would get to the Iron Golem, because I knew Pat had played through Dark Souls plenty of times, but Wooly had never played through it before, and I was like, oh boy, I hope he gets to see Tarkus knock the Iron Golem off the roof, and he fucking did it. He did it, 20 seconds into the fight. It was amazing. I highly recommend all of you go and watch that fucking video. Absolutely outstanding. Just go on YouTube and look up Black Iron Tarkus, and you will find the fucking video, probably. Anywho, we go up to the City of the Gods in Orlando, and we fight the most famous boss in all of Souls, probably, Ornstein and Smo, who will be going up here in the S tier. Our first S tier boss. You may be wondering, why are they so good? Because they are, don't worry about it. They're also really challenging, but in a way that's not total bullshit. It's two of them fighting together that looks pretty good. Or, it works out pretty well. Once you defeat one of them, the other one gets a power-up. You get the soul of whichever one you kill last. It's a great boss. It is the challenge. It's the wall that you have to overcome if you want to go from the first half of the game to the second half of the game. The second half of the game is not as good, except for the DLC. Anyway, while you're in Anne Orlando, if you paid a trip back to the Undead Asylum, you can go into the Painted World of Ariamis, and you can fight Priscilla, who's not really much of a boss, if we're being honest. She just kind of exists. She does not fight you unless you attack her, which is kind of interesting, but there's not really that much to say about her. She actually fights you and doesn't have a... Well, actually, she does have kind of a gimmick, which is kind of interesting, in that she's invisible, and you have to find where she is based on seeing her footprints in the snow. So that's kind of a neat thing. But it really not that much to say about Priscilla. Now, if we're going to go through the usual path that doesn't involve going back down, we're going to fight Seath. Seath exists. Yeah, that's basically all I have to say about Seath. He kind of exists. Then we go back down. We're going to go through New Londo. Oh yeah, if we're going to go through New Londo, we have to fight Sif. Do you want to feel really bad about killing a boss? Well, do I have a boss for you. The great Grey Wolf Sif defends the grave of his master Artorias, and the ring that Artorias has that allows you to traverse the abyss, which you need to go and fight the four kings, who you need to beat if you're going to finish the game. So you need to fight Sif. The reason Sif protects the ring is because he doesn't want anyone else to get fucking devoured by the abyss like Artorias. So he will fight you with Artorias' sword. When you get him down to about a fourth health, he starts limping. And some of his attacks will make him just fall over because he can't support himself anymore. You feel like shit after beating Sif. Anywho, now we go fight the Four Kings. The Four Kings are kind of neat. You fight them in a big void. So that kind of fucks around with your depth perception a little bit. And then it's kind of a DPS battle after that. There can be more than 4 kings because they spawn in on a timer, and if you haven't killed one by the time the timer has reached the point it needs to, another one will spawn in. And due to the fuckery with the depth perception, it's really hard to actually dodge some of their attacks, because it's just hard to figure out how close or far away a lot of this shit is. But they have a really cool design, really cool arena. Generally, the best way to beat him, or them, is regardless of whatever build you have, just put on the whole Havel set. You will not stagger to anything except, like, fucking giant attacks. You can just stand there and keep attacking and just not be stopped by anything. So that's the way to go about it. Now, if we go into the catacombs, we encounter, first, Pinwheel.
Oh.
Lol. Simply Lamau. Then if we get past Pinwheel, when you get past Pinwheel, you go fight Gravelord Nito. Nito is pretty fucking neato. Yeah, pretty neato. The only problem with Nito's boss, like the only like straight up problem, is that you take fall damage when you enter into his fight. It's kind of an issue. Now, you basically go in a big donut. You go in a big ring around the arena with a swarm of skeletons attacking you at the same time you're trying to fight Nito. However, these skeletons can also be killed by Nito's attacks. So a lot of the time what you're doing is you're just kind of baiting Nito into doing attacks to get rid of all of the enemies swarming you. It's kind of convenient. And Nito probably has the coolest design in Dark Souls 1, so he gets big points for that. He is a giant skeleton made of skeletons with a big bone sword.
Nihilus wishes.
That he does. Now then, back to the Demon Ruins. We fight a boss called Ceaseless Discharge.
That's an interesting name.
Yes, it is. You can cheese this boss if it doesn't one-shot you. Actually, that's a neat feature, I guess I'd put on
Cheese it, or he just
yeah, we'll put him down there because he's kind of a non-fight. You literally just run back to the entry gate. He does a leaping attack to try and reach you. A leaping attack, which then puts him hanging over like a giant fucking pit. So then you just smack the arm he's holding onto the ground with, and he just falls into the pit. You pull a fucking Lion King on him.
Nice.
Then we get down further into the Demon Ruins, and we kind of reach Lost Izalith. We reach around Lost Izalith. First boss is the Demon Fire Sage, which is, get this, another reskin. So, the Stray Demon is basically a reskin of the Asylum Demon with a different weapon and AoE attacks. The Demon Fire Sage is a reskin of that reskin. Yeah, we'll put him there. After that, if you're not going through the skip that you get from the Chaos Covenant, you fight the Centipede Demon, which exists. I don't really have much to say about it. It's kind of fucking obnoxious, especially considering it can kind of spam range attacks. It's kind of bullshit. I kind of don't like that boss. If you're doing a Pyromancy build, you're kind of fucked when you fight it.
The centipede doing range attack doesn't seem wise. Like, that's that long body.
It's got centipedes for limbs.
Oh! That is, you know what?
You can just go look up a video of it. Anyway, next we have the Bed of Chaos. Clearly, no, you can't even joke about it. So, the Demon Souls was a prototype, kind of. A lot of the stuff ended up being sort of the prototype for the stuff they would have in Dark Souls 1 and the games after. Dragon God is the prototype for Bed of Chaos. And that it makes you want to kill yourself in Minecraft. So... yeah, the Bed of Chaos is the worst fucking thing they have put in any of their games ever.
Why is that?
So you go down the slide into the arena. The Bed of Chaos itself has these arms that just kind of sweep the ground and attack you, and they have fucking absurd hitboxes. Fucking ridiculous. Let's see if I can find Bed of Chaos hitboxes.
Oh boy, that's gonna be disgusting.
Oh my god. Oh my god. Look at this fucking shit. And this is kind of slow. So, let's zoom in a little here. So, as we can see here, this sort of branchy stuff here is the model for the Bed of Chaos's hand. This is the hitbox for the hand. As in, this shit right here, completely detached from the rest of the model, is what actually hits you. I want you to mull that over a little bit.
I looked it up.
Comprehend.
I want to kill myself just looking at it. I refuse.
So, yeah, that's just kind of fucking ridiculous. Oh, I should zoom in a little.
Jesus fucking Christ, what the fuck is that?
Yeah.
Oh, I zoomed in too much.
That's my response. Just what the fuck am I looking at?
What is that hitbox?
Oh, I need to,
Let's some fucking smash hitbox right there. Fucking
that's the kind of shit that, you apologize for including in your game, which Miyazaki did. Miyazaki literally apologized for this being in the game. Like, for the Bed of Chaos existing. Oh, right. So, the arms are bullshit. After you start taking out, like, the weak points at the sides, it unlocks a ranged attack that it only ever uses while you're sliding into the boss and can't do anything. And the attacks that it does with its arms are sweeping attacks into the floor that collapses into instant death pits. So you have an arena where the floor can fall out from under you and you get like a fucking second to react to it. And then the boss almost exclusively does sweeping attacks that push you into the holes that open up in the ground. And then to get to the boss and actually kill it, you have to fall through one of the holes in the ground onto a pathway that leads to the little fucking insect thing that's the actual Bed of Chaos that you kill in one hit. Literally, the only good thing about Bed of Chaos is that once you free the big firearms that it has by attacking the weak points, you don't have to do it again. You can just straight up run right to the fucking center path to land on the thing. Hope you don't get fucking hit by one of its bullshit hitboxes and knocked into the void. And then you kill it. Bed of Chaos is by far the worst thing ever. It's like the Dragon God and the Capra Demon, and that it will kill playthroughs. There are people that will stop playing the game because of this.
Yeah, people like me, because
Yeah, I was one day considering playing Dark Souls, but just hearing that.
Oh, you can just watch a tutorial on how to beat these several things. You'll notice how it's like 2 things. Pinwheel's in here just because it's Pinwheel. But like Capra and Bed of Chaos are pretty bullshit, but there are ways to beat them. Obviously, millions of people have beaten the games. And the rest of the game is pretty good. A lot of people say that the first half of Dark Souls 1 is like a fucking genuine masterpiece in gaming. Whether or not that's true, or if it's just because in comparison to the first half, the second half is kind of fucking dog shit. Because the second half is not that good. Like, Lost Izalith is not fucking finished. In the original game, the textures for the lava will make your fucking eyes bleed, because they just rush to the shit. From Software has the strangest development cycles of any game studio I've ever heard of, because all of their games seem so fucking meticulous, but their release process when they get into, like, the later stages of development is so fucking rushed. It's insane.
Yeah, it's a similar thing to Atlas. Like, Atlas makes their games, and then they just kind of fuck it up at the very end with every final dungeon. Like, there are several
what
final
they
dungeons
do
Atlas have made that are genuinely... What the fuck is this?
From what I understand, is with FromSoft, they make the game, and then they add stuff. And then they keep trying to add stuff. And then it's like, oh shit, we have like a few months left until release, and we can't finish all of the shit that we added.
Damn, sounds like One Piece.
So either they cut it out of the game and make it DLC, which is where the first game's DLC comes from. It's where Bloodborne's DLC comes from. I'm pretty sure the Dark Souls 2 DLCs were always intended to be DLCs, and the same goes for Dark Souls 3, though that one was originally intended to be one big one, and then because money, they split it into 2 DLCs.
Oh, of course.
Resulting in the first one being the worst Dark Souls DLC, and the second one being arguably the best.
Arguably.
Arguably. It's a bit of a competition between that and the old hunters from Bloodborne, I think. I think both of those in general are personally way better than the Dark Souls 1 DLC. Although the Artorias of the Abyss DLC is great. It's arguably the best part of Dark Souls 1 that's not the first half of the game. AKA the best part of it that's not kind of just the Undead Parish, Darkroot, and Anor Londo. I guess people like the depths. Nobody likes Blighttown. Let's see, we beat the Bed of Chaos. I believe that's all the lords. So now it's time for us to... Oh, right, I forgot. Gwendolyn exists. They exist, I guess. Yeah, that's about it. DLC time. You get dragged back in time by the Hand of Manus, and you start off by fighting the Sanctuary Guardian, who is pretty fucking tough. I realized that is, like, probably one of the bosses that I actually have the hardest time with on just about any other playthrough. I was kind of shocked by it. It's genuinely pretty fucking hard, at least when you're trying to get the tail weapon. Otherwise, it's just kind of difficult. Very solid beast boss, probably the best beast boss that they had in the first Dark Souls. Then after that, we get to the namesake of the DLC, Knight Artorias, who has great lore and is a kind of great boss in general. I would posit that he's the best boss in Dark Souls 1. Artorias was one of the 4 Knights of Gwyn. He got sent to Ulasil to stop the tide of the Abyss, which had been birthed beneath Ulasil. And all of the legends that we hear in the present say that Artorias went and he kicked the shit out of the Abyss and saved the world. What really happened was Artorias got his fucking ass kicked by the Abyss, and then got corrupted by it, and then we kill Artorias, and then all of the shit we do is the stuff that people give credit to Artorias for. Which is fine, because Artorias is an awesome guy, and it'd be probably better to have his legacy be preserved as him being a cool dude, as opposed to basically someone who failed in his mission and then got corrupted by the Abyss. And the gameplay is awesome. It's probably one of the best flows of any of the bosses in Dark Souls 1. Our optional boss, Calamite, is pretty fucking hard. You need to get Hawkeye Go to shoot him down for you. I mean, actually, as far as I understand, there is a spot in his arena where you can stand and shoot him before he's been shot down by Go, where you won't be hit by his breath attack, and you can kill him. And if you kill Calamite without getting Go's help to shoot him down, Go is like, holy fucking shit, my guy. That is the most impressive thing I have ever heard, because I can't see. Take my bow. Even though it's the size of like a fucking house, so it's somehow magically downscaled for you. Yeah. This is the first good dragon boss, because Dragon God exists and Seath is just kind of there.
Well, like, if you have an opponent with a house-sized thing, you can't do that because the house always wins.
Mm-hmm.
Wait, hold on, I tapped into the stream. Why is there the 4 kings? What the fuck?
It's... What do you mean, why is there the 4 kings?
So it's caught me off guard.
What are you looking at right now?
You know, just forget. You know, I always get more complicated than trying to uncomplicate things. So,
I see. Anywho. Then we have Manus. Manus is kind of tough. Manus is kind of difficult. He is, I think, by far, maybe the single most aggressive anything in the game, other than the Torch Hollows, maybe. I think he's certainly the most aggressive boss in the game, and, Manus will juggle you like a character action game protagonist. It's fucking nuts. If you get caught up in one of the attacks, he literally juggles you. Alright, and you can summon, Puppy Sif from the past, because, Artorias and Sif went together to Ulasil, and when shit was getting fucked, and Artorias' arm got broken, he left his great shield with Sif, so that Sif would be protected from the Abyss. And you can go and find Sif, and Sif can help you defeat Manus, who is presumably the thing that kicked the shit out of Artorias, because, well, he kicked the ever-loving shit out of us, too. And it seems like something that would break Artorias' arm. By the way, another cool factor in Artorias is, based on, I think the Japanese cover of the game, and the version of his greatsword that we get in Dark Souls 2, Artorias is left-handed. And when we fight him, his left arm is broken, which means he's fighting you with his greatsword in his offhand.
Oh.
Visual storytelling, my friends.
Big question, though. What does leaving a shield with a ball do?
It's a magical shield that did like a fucking warding spell to protect Sif.
Of course.
I think it's literally called like the warding great shield or something. So yeah. There's Manus for you. Oh, and Manus is really fucking significant because when you kill him, he shatters into a bunch of soul fragments that become basically the main antagonists of Dark Souls 2 and its DLCs. Anywho, last boss, Gwyn, who is fuck easy to beat if you can parry. But the idea with Gwyn is that he is a hollow husk of his former self. The god of sunlight has become the Lord of Cinder because he basically gave up everything to keep the flame and the Age of Fire kindled for as long as possible, and now he's literally just a hollow husk of his former self. You go, you listen to the Lord of Cinder theme, go do it. You probably all recognize it, the pling, pling, plum. You know that one?
Well, that's what I'm saying.
That's Gwyn's theme.
Yeah, so it must be a very sad individual.
The final boss of Dark Souls 1 is the former god of sunlight and basically king of the world who has been reduced to basically a big version of all of the fodder zombie enemies that you've fought through most of the game.
Yeah, it does sound rather sad.
And you have the sad music. There's no big, triumphant, roaring music playing over it like you get with, like, Old King Allant. Because, well, you know what? Fuck, Old King Allant can have a cool theme, because he's cool. That's the idea. It's like, holy shit, Old King Allant, you are so cool and powerful. With Gwyn, it's like, wow. Jesus, you really fell off, huh?
Yeah, this is what Al called us to the final boss.
This is what happens when you light yourself on fire to prevent the heat death of the universe. That's basically what it is.
As you casually do.
As you casually do, yeah. And this tier list is going way more in depth than the fucking one we did back in, like, June. Well, now we're on to Dark Souls 2, which has, like, 40 bosses. A lot of them are not that good.
For context, how many did Dark Souls 1 and Demon Souls did?
Demon Souls, I believe, has... Let's do the math here. Hold on. It's 5. I believe it has 21 bosses. I think Demon Souls has 21, and I think Dark Souls has 27. If I'm doing the math correctly,
2 times as many bosses as the previous 2.
4 of them have 3, so that's 12. Then Boletaria has 4, so that... Actually, no, Demon Souls only has 17 bosses. And then I think Dark Souls 1 has 26, 27? A bit more. So Dark Souls 2, which is probably the biggest Souls game so far, has a shit ton of bosses. And some of them are pretty meh, pretty bad. Some are bad, some are just kind of there.
But are there good ones?
Oh boy, are there good ones. Don't you fucking worry about that. Don't you worry yourself about that there.
I've heard very mixed things about Dark Souls 2.
Dark Souls 2 was made by the B team. It wasn't made by the same people that made 1. Actually, same people that made Demon Souls, Dark Souls 1, Bloodborne, Dark Souls 3. Basically, they just had other people at FromSoft make it. I still love Dark Souls 2, but the gameplay is very different.
Yeah.
I see. So that's why I hear not a lot of people like it.
Yeah, but I really like Dark Souls 2. I like its world. I literally did... I have a document somewhere on the disk. I can just pull it up again. I did an entire playthrough of the base game of Scholar of the First Sin and compiled a 12-part lore study on it. Compiled playing through the game. I started one on Bloodborne. I need to keep doing that at some point. But I'm a little preoccupied with trying to figure out Demon Souls lore right now, which so far is way fucking harder to get the information on than on any of the other games. I mean, it apparently still has really good lore, but like finding it all is kind of hard because a lot of the items have really short descriptions. There are a lot of NPCs that you have to go through various things in order to meet. A lot of bullshit involving world tendency. Anywho, the first boss of Dark Souls 2 is the quote-unquote last giant. Where the fuck is he? He's around here somewhere. Seriously, where the fuck is he gone? I can't find him. There he is. There he is. He's kind of in the like Seath Gwendolyn category of just sort of existing. Doesn't really do much, like anything.
Hey, Wave.
Hey, Wave, what's up?
Hi.
Welcome back.
Not much. I'm just waiting in the car park for my headphones to charge so I can go into the shops that I hate.
Well, that's cool, I guess. Then after Last Giant, we fight the
You still on
Pursuer.
stream?
Yeah.
Never saw him.
Oh, you are still on stream.
Then after that, we fight
I
the
fixed my
Pursuer.
phone.
We've had the anything.
Well, that's cool, I guess.
So, how far are you up on this tier list?
We just started Dark Souls 2.
Okay. I'll check out the stream.
Okay, cool. The Pursuer is a guy that exists, but he's pretty cool. His design's pretty fucking awesome. He just flies in, a big bird drops him in. In the arena you fight him on is pretty nice. The fact that you can kind of cheese him with the ballistas is a neat gameplay component I like. Yeah, he's pretty good. He's a pretty good boss, I think. Pretty decent. And you can fight him before the actual boss encounter, and you can kill him before you actually have to fight him as boss.
What?
Yeah, because he drops in an area before his boss arena. You can fight him early. Because he's the pursuer. He pursues you around. He doesn't just stick around in one spot. And by that I mean you fight him a bunch of different times.
Oh, a rival
So,
character.
if you beat
He's
him,
kind of a rival
do you not
character,
have
a
to
little,
beat
yeah.
him?
Kind of, but he doesn't really scale with you that much, so by the time you encounter him
Aw.
later on in the game, you just kind of shit on him. So he's
one of
not
those
like
types of
Virgil.
rivals.
Unfortunate.
Well, then after him, if we go to Hyde's Tower of Flame, one of my personal favorites in Dark Souls 2, and a place I spent a lot of time in my first playthrough because the Dark Souls learning curve is kind of big, we fight the Dragon Rider, who is, get this, a generic knight in armor. Yeah, Dark Souls 2 has a lot of
Fighting
those.
a dragon.
No, he's not actually on the dragon. They're just called the Dragon Riders
What
because
the-
they did.
Oh, so it's like, oh yeah, they used to ride dragons, but they don't anymore.
Yeah,
Even
in
though
Scholar of the
dragons
First
are
Sin,
still
there
kinda
is
around.
a wyvern in the area, so it's presumed that that was his mount. But he's busy standing in a boss arena right now, so he's not currently riding the dragon.
I mean, he can if he wants, though, right?
Yeah, I suppose he could. Though he may have degenerated into a zombie by now, so I don't know if he has the mental capacity to ride a dragon.
I mean,
That would be cool.
he just needs to seek medical attention, of course.
That may be a good idea, yeah. If you go and beat the wyvern, you can go and fight the Blue Cathedral's resident Ornstein cosplayer, the old Dragon Slayer, who is another boss who's just kind of there. But it's basically Ornstein by himself, and instead of lightning, he has dark magic. I don't know why. Oh, and he's silver. He's kind of neat, I suppose. Then you go down to No Man's Wharf and you fight the Flexile Sentry, which has a cool design. His
Hey,
silhouette,
Matt, have you
there he
read
is.
the Dark Souls manga?
Huh?
Have you read the Dark Souls manga?
Isn't it a fan manga?
Yes, it is.
I've read the Bloodborne one.
Okay.
It's the art is really good, but it's a little too fan fiction-y for my tastes.
Well, I read the Dark Souls one, and it seems to line up pretty well.
It might. Bloodborne one's really fan fiction. Flexile Sentry's
Okay,
pretty
now I have to
cool
check it out.
because which side of it you fight depends on what's going to be happening. There is a really fast curved sword side that will inflict bleed on you, as opposed to the other side which has these sort of spiked clubs that are just melee weapons. and it's much slower. So generally, you want to keep the bludgeoning side facing you, so that's the one attacking you. But in the actual arena, the water in it rises slowly, so if you take too long to beat it, you're going to start like fucking trudging around in water and you can't really dodge anymore. And at that point, you're kind of fucked. Also, if you fight it in New Game Plus, because Dark Souls 2 has the best New Game Plus out of any of the games, because they add a bunch of shit. Red Phantoms will also be in the boss room.
Oh, lovely.
There are a couple. I think one of the other bosses, at least one of the other bosses, does that as well. I don't think the DLCs really have that much shit added for New Game Plus, but the base game sure as hell does.
So in Dark Souls, is it better to be bleeding or to be poisoned?
Generally, at least in Dark Souls 1, it's better to be poisoned, because it's just like a very slow health drain, whereas with bleed, like fucking a third to a half of your health just disappears.
Oh no.
So, depending on how much health you have, bleed can just insta-kill you. I don't remember if it works that way in Dark Souls 2. I remember it was kind of different, but I know in Dark Souls 1 that's how that works. So you beat the Flexile Sentry, you go over to the Lost Bastille, you fight the Ruin Sentinels, which are a pretty decent gank boss, all things considered.
Hey, I'll be going into the shops now. I'll be back. Well, I'm just going to be leaving, and I'll call you. Well, I'll enter the stream if it's still going on when I get home.
It will be.
Yeah, this may take like another hour at least. So.
Okay, I'll definitely be back.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool.
See ya.
Have fun.
Carrot. We are doing this based on how much I like the bosses, basically. So the Ruin Sentinels, they're there. They kind of exist. If you go off into Belfry Luna, because Covenants and shit, and also various items that you may want to get, you'll fight the worse version of the Bell Gargoyles, the Belfry Gargoyles.
So they have no bow.
They're not as cool, they're smaller, you can get ganked by more of them.
Ouch.
They're not the worst, but they're not anything really remarkable. Then we press on. You go to Sinner's Rise, which is weirdly called that because you go down to get to most of the shit. And we fight our first great one? Old one? I think they're the old ones, because they're old. Like, really old. That's why they're called that. Their souls are fucking ancient as shit. Where the fuck are you, the lost sinner? There you are. Better than quite a few of the bosses in Dark Souls 2, but not nearly the best in my opinion. Boy, I'm kind of tired. Yeah, we're probably going to record the review tomorrow morning. Alright, so next, you're probably going to go down the alternate path to Hyde's Tower of Flame, to Huntsman's Copse, where you will encounter a few bosses. One of them is in the Undead Purgatory, which is it's basically this area's equivalent to the Blue Cathedral, or the Cathedral of Blue, and the Old Dragon Slayer. This is a big circular arena in which you fight the Undead Chariot, or no, the Executioner's Chariot. I actually kind of like this boss because of its creativity and mechanical features. What you're basically doing for most of the fight is you're going into these little cubbies. To avoid getting run over by the chariot, you usually have to kill enemies in there. There are necromancers that are animating skeletons, and as long as the necromancers are alive, they'll keep resurrecting the skeletons, so they don't worry about getting run over by the chariot. And they'll come and they'll fucking beat you to death in a corner while you're hiding from the chariot, or they'll stun you before you can get into a place, and you'll get fucking run over by the chariot. So you're basically running around trying to kill those, and the idea is to get to the other end of the area so that you can drop down a gate, which the chariot will smash into. The guy driving the chariot fucking dies, and then you fight the actual two-headed skeleton horse that's pulling the chariot.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
But there's an alternate way to beat him. Go stand in one of the cubbies and just shoot him with arrows. Preferably poison arrows, because then you don't need as many actual arrows. If the executioner's chariot is reduced down to like 30% health, it fails to jump over the giant pit in the arena and will get stuck hanging on to the ledge on your side, once again Lion King style, and you just run over to him and you smack him a bunch and then he falls into the pit. It's very satisfying. I think that's how I usually beat him these days, because it's just way more entertaining that way.
Imagine, some scary guy, making him cling to his dear life, or, well, unlife, since he's undead or something. Whatever, take the scary lad, make him look like a weakling, that's always fun.
That is always very fun. Now, if we're going through the required path, you're eventually going to encounter the head honchos of Huntsman's Copse, the Skeleton Lords. This is a trio of skeleton men who, upon being killed, turn into a bunch of smaller skeletons. So if you go around and kill all of them in one go, you're going to end up fighting an entire army of various skeletons, including skeleton wheels, which are the worst. I don't think they ever got as bad as Dark Souls 1, but they still kind of suck. I quite like this boss. I think it's pretty fucking good in terms of, you have to be kind of strategic. They have a cool design. They're skeletons. Where can you go wrong with that? I mean, we've already established that's pretty fucking neato. Yeah.
Yeah?
Now, we go through there, we get to the Harvest Valley. And there's not actually a boss in Harvest Valley, but you go through the Harvest Valley to get to Earthen Peak. And there are actually two bosses in Earthen Peak. The first one we encounter is the Covetous Demon. This is a big, it looks like Jabba the Hutt, but adorable. Another pinwheel situation. Lol. Simply Lamau.
Jobber?
Yeah, he's a big jobber. Then, make sure you light the fucking windmill on fire so their arena is not filled with poison. You fight Mytha the Baneful Queen. Mytha's kind of interesting because, other than just having a kind of neat design, she heals herself when she's in poison. There is still poison around the outer edges of the arena, so if she leaps into that or something, when she does a lunging attack or something, she'll start to heal a little bit. If you don't burn the windmill, the place is filled with poison, which means you are trudging around in poison, and since you're walking around in a fucking foot of a liquid, you're going to be moving around a lot slower. That poisons you, and then she's constantly healing.
Yeah, it sounds,
So light that fucking windmill on fire so that you can turn Mytha into the kind of average boss. But I quite like the added mechanics. Also, she can throw your head at you to do an AoE attack.
What?
Yeah, she's decapitated. She holds her head in her hand. She shoots magic out of her mouth, and sometimes she'll throw her head at you, and her head does an AoE attack.
Well, is it fucking yell here?
Yeah. Then we go on up into, get this, we take an elevator up into the sky, and we find ourselves in a castle surrounded by lavas and volcanoes.
In the sky.
I have no fucking idea. You see, the thing about Dark Souls 1 is that the whole world is interconnected very well. In Dark Souls 2, it's not. The space in Dark Souls 2 makes no fucking sense. Distance is non-existent. You can look at Hyde's Tower of Flame from Majula, the hub area. It looks like it's like 20 miles away or something. Maybe not 20 miles, but like many miles away. You walk like maybe half a mile to get there.
Ah.
Yeah, it makes no fucking sense. 0 sense. So you go up there, you encounter Smelter Demon, who can technically be skipped. Now, Smelter is a strange case. Where is he? Where the fuck are you, you little fuck? He's around here somewhere, I can feel it. There he is. Yeah. Smelter Demon's kind of strange. Because Smelter Demon is overall a pretty good boss. He has multiple phases. He has a cool design. He ends up getting like he buffs his weapon after a certain point, and then he gets an AoE thing where like just kind of being around him damages him. So after a certain point, it becomes kind of like a DPS thing.
Right.
Pretty well designed boss. Oh, and also another thing he does that's cool is sometimes he changes the timing of his attacks, which is fucking nuts. It's kind of, you don't realize until when you play the game that when you fight a boss, you accustom yourselves to the timing of its attacks. When you have something that just can change the timing of attacks, it will fuck you up. And it's neat that he can do that. So what holds Smelter back from being like an A-rank boss or something? Dark Souls 2 hitboxes.
Ah.
Also, adaptability is a stat. So in Dark Souls, you get invincibility frames when you dodge. This is a universal thing. But in Dark Souls 2, the amount of invincibility frames you get is dependent on a stat called adaptability.
That's good.
So if you level the shit out of adaptability, you become like fucking invincible when you do dodging. Or you would be in theory, but Dark Souls 2 has a lot of shitty hitboxes, and one of those shitty hitboxes is on quite a few of Smelter Demon's attacks. Also, the run to this boss fucking blows. Especially if you're going through here as like the second major area. It sucks big time. Next we have the Old Iron King, who is kind of shit, to be totally honest. He's not, like, offensively bad, but he's pretty down there. Usually the only thing that kills you in this boss is the fucking hole in the ground that exists for no reason other than to add artificial difficulty to the boss.
There's a bathtub, don't worry about that.
Yeah, and what sucks is he has a cool design. It's a big, giant demon guy that rises out of the fucking lava.
Yeah, he was taking a bath.
But the boss is nothing. He just does, like, some kind of shitty sweeping attacks, the occasional mouth laser or whatever. It's pretty easy to dodge. And 90% of the time when you die, it's falling into the fucking hole in the arena.
Okay, when you're bathing, right, when you get out of the bath, you're not in tip-top shape for a fight, are you?
I suppose not. Oh yeah, and this guy has Gwyn's soul because the souls reincarnate because souls just kind of keep existing. So Gwyn was resurrected in this fucking loser. Well, he wasn't resurrected, but his soul was carried on by this fucking loser.
That actually fucking sucks.
Yeah, it sucks big time. Oh, the Lost Sinner gets the Bed of Chaos, which is a massive upgrade. Like, average decent boss from literally the worst thing ever. I think that's a pretty big upgrade if you ask me.
Yeah, it does sound very good upgrade.
Next path we're gonna go in that big fucking hole in the ground in the middle of Majula. There is the... Where are they? Where are they? They should be kind of easy to find, considering it's just a bunch of big rats that make the rule. Actually, no, there's a different rat that makes the rules. What the fuck are they? Royal Rat Vanguard. You fight a bunch of rats, the one you have to fight has a mohawk.
Why?
Because that's how it distinguishes that it's the boss. I remember in my lore thing I questioned, do they have to, like, groom one of the rats to have a mohawk so that he's the designated one that gets killed whenever someone invades the Grave of Saints? Yeah, he's kind of shit. Kind of garbage. Then we have the Rotten, who is Nito, but with meat. That's an interesting concept, isn't it? So instead of being a big skeleton made out of 1,000 skeletons, it's a bunch of dead bodies mashed together into a vaguely humanoid shape. That just kind of crawls around on the ground. It doesn't have legs or anything. The Rotten would look so fucking weird with legs. Though so would Nito. Well, no, Nito has legs, but it's obscured in his shadow cloak. The Rotten just moves around using all of the arms and legs at the bottom of its body. So it actually moves around like a fucking bug. Well, you know, theoretically. And you've got a big cleaver. He's kind of neat. You can cut his arms off to get Pharaoh's Stone. And also, just to make him easier, because he still swings around at you, but because the arm's missing, nothing hits you.
Huh.
Kind of neat. Now we're going to go down the other path. What the fuck do we encounter down there again? Oh, right. First thing, Scorpioness Najka. Basically, what if Quelaag, was a big scorpion instead of a big spider lady with two tails, and instead of having a sword that does pyromancy, she did magic. That would be her. I don't think she's particularly better or worse than Quelaag, so I'll have her below Quelaag. Then you go on, if you want to, you can go through the doors of Pharos and fight giant rat dog version of Sif called the Royal Rat Authority. This thing does the same shit that the Capra Demon does. There are a bunch of little rats that will jump down before you actually start fighting the Royal Rat Authority. And if they hit you, you are inflicted with Toxic, which is basically poison on crack.
Yeah.
Which then means you fight... The fucking Royal Rat Authority jumps down to attack you while you are maybe scrambling to get an item that will heal Toxic. Then you have the usual shitty hitboxes, and also the thing vomits up corrosive substance that breaks your equipment. I remember the last time I fought Royal Rat Authority, I only fought him so that I could get lore. The last thing he did was break all of my shit. Like, he did the attack right before I landed the attack. So, he spews it out. It starts destroying my equipment. I kill him, and then all of my shit gets broken.
Motherfucker.
You little fucker.
What a punch of little shit.
Well, then we go on, and you encounter a double-sided spider. It's weird. The Dukesteer Freya is meh. Meh, it's kind of like Adjudicator, but a big spider. I think Adjudicator is cooler. There you go. Now then, we are able to proceed to Drangleic Castle. The first boss we will encounter on our way to seek King Vendrick is the Mirror Knight. The Mirror Knight is really goddamn cool. One of the coolest bosses in main game Dark Souls 2. Why is that? Well, he's cool. He's got this silvery armor with a face on it and a crown of thorns. He's got a sword with thorns wrapped around the hilt that can summon lightning, and he has a big great shield that's a mirror. What does the mirror do? It summons phantoms to fight you. And, much like with Old Monk, if you are basically laying down a summon sign outside the boss, there is the possibility that you can get summoned into someone else's boss fight, or alternatively, someone can get summoned into your boss fight. This is basically Old Monk, but better, because with the Old Monk, your difficulty is based entirely on how good the player is, whereas with this, you have the existing boss and then the wild card of whether or not a random NPC or a random player gets dragged into the fight. It's pretty neat. Also, you fight him on top of the castle in the rain, so that's cool.
Oh, that was very cool.
Anyway, we go down into the worst area in Dark Souls 2. Technically not a swamp. It's not a poison swamp. Maybe still technically a swamp. It's still kind of a water level. Has some of the best visuals in the main game, but fuck the Shrine of Amana. It's bullshit. There are ranged enemies literally everywhere. Speed run the Shrine of Amana. Every time. Just speed run it. And then go back for whatever shit you need.
Yeah,
fuck the Shrine of Amana. But it has a kind of neat boss at the end, the Demon of Song. When you go through the Shrine of Amana, you'll hear a person singing. You'll hear a woman singing through much of the area. And this is actually this big frog monster that has a human face and human arms sticking out of where its head would be.
No thanks.
It's kind of a neat creature. Oh, and you can only do damage on its face and arms. You can't really do damage to the frog body. It's just kind of neat.
No thanks.
Then we proceed down into the Undead Crypt, where we eventually encounter Velstadt, the Royal Aegis, a guy that has a big bell weapon. I wonder if I've ever ripped that off for anything.
Yeah,
I would never do such a thing. Velstadt's just generally kind of a cool guy, if you ask me. Yeah, there's basically no issues with the boss. It's just a really solid, big knight with a weapon.
Big spell guy.
Now, after Velstadt, you encounter King Vendrick. Vendrick has been reduced to straight up a hollow, because Vendrick is a human. He is human, but he is hollowed as well. After basically doing everything in his fucking power to try and find a way to cure the undead curse that doesn't involve linking the flame and further perpetuating the cycle of light and dark that's been going on for God knows how long by now, he succumbs to the curse. And when you encounter him, it's like one of the only areas in the game where music plays that's not the hub area. So his boss music plays before you actually fight him. You don't have to fight Vendrick. You walk into his boss arena. There's no fog gate or anything. You just walk in there and he just wanders around. He will only fight you if you attack him.
What kind of man?
Now, the deal with Vendrick is that his defense is fucking absurd. And the way you lower that defense is by going around and getting giant souls. Why do you get giant souls? Well, because way back when, Vendrick, per the advice of his bitch wife, Nishandra, who is evil and one of the fragments of Manus, went over to the land of giants and took some shit from them. It's not entirely clear what exactly that thing was. I think it's the giant's kinship that lets him control the golems that he used to basically build his entire kingdom. And they also kidnapped a bunch of giants to use in his brother's experiments for creating dragons. As you do. And the giants, as you can imagine, after someone came and pillaged their homeland and stole their people and important relics, were pretty fucking pissed. So pissed that their enduring hatred of Vendrick is preserved by their souls, and just having their souls on you lets you do more damage to him. That's kind of keynote. So, what you want to do is you want to get as much giant souls as you can, and then fight Vendrick, and be very careful, because he hits like a fucking freight train. His moveset is very basic, but, you know, maybe you're a little too far out in front of him, or Dark Souls 2 hitboxes, and oh my god, I'm dead. And it takes a while. This fight's kind of a nail-biter because it takes a while to get through, and Vendrick will 1 or 2 shot you with his attacks, so it's a little nerve-wracking.
Yeah, that's not nerve-wracking indeed.
Now, if we're going to go off from here, we'll go over to Aldia's Keep, and the boss at the end of that is the Guardian Dragon, which is actually just a wyvern, and it's kind of lame. Has a god-awful OST. I never realized it until I watched a video that pointed it out, but the Guardian Dragon may have, like, the worst Souls OST. It's fucking terrible. It's so bad.
Is it not fit, or is it just a bad song?
It's just bad. It's just shit. There's, like, barely any music. The music that is there just doesn't sound good at all. Like, go look up the Guardian Dragon OST. It's just bad. It's just a bad OST, and I can rarely ever say that for, like, Souls bosses. Dark Souls 2 has a lot of not memorable OSTs. It has a few standout OSTs, very few. In the other games, there's either good OSTs or OSTs that's just kind of, like, okay. I wouldn't listen to this while, like, walking my dog or something, but it fits the mood of the boss. The Guardian Dragon has a genuinely bad OST. I don't know how the fuck they let that one get through. Anyway, you go up into the dragon area and the dragon shrine, and you are met with the ancient dragon.
Yes,
Is the ancient dragon on this tier list? Is it actually on here or not? I don't see it, actually. Okay, good. Because the ancient dragon is 100% optional. I have literally never beaten it. I started the fight with it one time and got fucking one-shotted by its fire breath. Fuck the ancient dragon. The ancient dragon is bullshit. The ancient dragon is what would happen if they were like, oh, what if we let you actually fight the dragon god for real? And hadn't made good dragon bosses yet. Well, Calamity. What happens if we haven't made giant fucking building-sized dragon fights good yet? You get the ancient dragon. It's shit. I've never beaten it. That's one of only 2 bosses where that's the case. Every other Souls game, I've beaten all the bosses at least once. How about... Yes, yeah, I'm pretty sure one of only 2, and I'm pretty sure they're the 2 that, like, most people never beat. The ancient dragon is because the ancient dragon is bullshit. The other one is because it's bullshit, and also other reasons that we'll get to when we get to them. So anyway, Ancient Dragon exists. You can go into the memories of the Withered. You fight the Giant Lord, who is actually the past version of the Last Giant, and the reason the Last Giant was beaten and the Giants lost was because of us defeating it in the past. Time travel's weird in Dark Souls. I don't know. The flow of time's convoluted.
I'm back.
Oh, welcome back, Wave. So the Giant Lord's basically just Last Giant, but a bit better. Yeah, like a little better. Now, if you join the Pilgrims of the Dark Covenant, or I don't remember what the name of the something Dark, something Pilgrims, you can fight a secret boss. I consider this to be the best boss in the base game of Dark Souls 2. This is the Dark Lurker. This is a dark, four-armed angel. One pair of his arms is folded at all times. He looks like he's judging the shit out of you. And he will conjure laser swords out of his hands to attack you. He'll summon magic. And then about halfway through the fight, he splits. So then there's 2 of them, but they share the health bar. So regardless of which one you attack, you still do damage to the main boss. The fight just flows really well. It's a very worthwhile secret boss to pursue. It's really good. It's a really good boss.
This guy looks like a Chad.
Oh, did you just look him up?
Yeah, absolutely.
He's fucking awesome. Dark Lurker's great.
Hey. Dark
Lurker. You're an angel? Fucking white like that?
And I think this is the first angelic anything that we got in Souls.
Ooh, yeah, that guy looks cool.
So then, time to go on to the 3 final bosses, aka the 3 bosses you fight in the final boss arena. First one's the Throne Guardians, the Throne Watcher, and Throne Defender. I don't know why there's a distinction. They both basically do the same shit, but I quite like them. I think they're actually a pretty fucking good boss. Pretty good gank boss. They can heal each other if one's super damaged. They buff their weapons. They got cool armor.
And what was the other guy?
The Throne Watcher and Throne Defender.
No, what were the 2 guys from the original game?
Ornstein and Smo?
Boys? Yeah, those 2.
Yeah, they're up there. They're up in S tier. So they're neat.
Ages since I played the Dark Souls games. I can't play them right now because I don't have anything to play them on. When I get a proper laptop and maybe get a gaming system, I'm gonna get Dark Souls and play through it all again.
Excellent idea.
Since I played it.
Sunnier killed Ancient Dragon on his 3rd try. Good job. I mean, I know there are strategies, but it just seems like such an unfun boss to fight. I can't imagine deriving any joy from fighting that thing. So I just don't. So, frankly, Throne Guardians are the best of the 3 final bosses. The other 2 just kind of get progressively worse. Well, one's really good for low reasons. Anyway, Nishandra, you know, Vendrick's bitch wife, she exists. It's not a very remarkable boss. She's kind of remarkable for lore reasons. Essentially, Nishandra was the smallest and weakest of the fragments of Manus to manifest and become a person. And as such, she desired power more than literally anything else. Like, desired power more than any other thing, and also desired power more than any other creature in the world. And a common theme with the children of Manus, the daughters of Manus, is that they all went off to go find kings to become queens of, so that they could get whatever they were after in some way, shape, or form. So Nishandra went and found the guy who is basically Gwyn of the era. Pretty good achievement. As far as I can tell, she has become the most powerful fragment of Manus, but she's not the strongest in terms of how difficult they are. Actually, we only fight one of the other ones directly, but still. So Nishandra's there. Aldia...
Yeah, this just makes me want to look up Dark Souls all over again. Thank you, Misc.
Now, Aldia is a little better than Nishandra because of pure lore. Aldia is Vendrick's brother. Aldia's like, yo, hello, player character. The way the world works sure is kind of fucked, isn't it? It's kind of weird. Like, regardless of any of the 2 choices that anyone picks, it doesn't really fucking matter. We're kind of stuck in this endless cycle of light and dark and, you know, getting cursed with undeath. Wouldn't it be great if we could go, like, do something else? And, you know, doing Aldia's quest line lets you unlock the other ending of the game, which is saying, fuck ascending to the throne and deciding to kindle the flame or let it die out. Let's just leave and see if we can find something else to do. And that's why I like the story of Dark Souls 2 best out of any of the games. But as Aldia mentions, there are many other monarchs who have come and gone throughout the ages. One drowned in poison, one succumbed to flame, yet another slumbers in a realm of ice. And those would happen to be the 3 kings and kingdoms that we go after in the DLCs, the Crowns trilogy. So starting off, Crown of the Sunken King, we have the optional boss. So the weird thing about the Dark Souls 2 DLCs is that they're both really good, or all 3 of them are really good. They're all arguably way better than the base game, and all 3 of them have one thing that we always ignore, because if we didn't ignore them, it would take several points off the overall ratings of the DLCs. These are the co-op areas.
Oh dear, that sounds not good.
as in areas designed to go through with multiple people.
In a Dark Souls game.
Well, there is co-op. You're able to summon people to play with. But what's going to happen in, like, a fucking, I don't know, 5, 10 years when they shut down the servers for Dark Souls 2? And, you know, that's how most people have to play through them anyway. The areas are all fucking awful. What is it? The Path of the Dead, the Iron Passage, and the Frozen Outskirts are all genuinely the worst areas in the entire franchise. Like, bar none. Poison swamps don't have shit on these areas. It's fucking nuts. So, at the end of the Path of the Dead, I think it's called, you encountered the Gank Squad. What is the Gank Squad? Oh, it's just 3 NPCs in various armor sets with weapons. That's the boss. It's so fucking lazy. So we're gonna put him, top of D tier probably. Anyway, time to fight a real fucking boss. The other shard of Manus that we fight is Ilana the Squalid Queen. Now, all of the Daughters of Manus represent some kind of emotion, and I'm 100% certain, actually, that Nishandra represented the desire of Manus, the want. Literally, fucking all of her weapons are something of want. You fight her in the throne of want. Ilana represents the wrath of Manus. Because she's fucking pissed. She's also responsible for the downfall of another kingdom, because, actually, I don't remember the exact reasons, but I'm pretty sure that her machinations resulted in a certain something getting poisoned, and then when certain fucking dumbasses that worship dragon blood came and wanted to get some of the shit that they worshipped, they stabbed the dragon, and then a fucking miasma of toxic poison spewed out of the wound and killed literally everyone in the city.
Doesn't sound too good.
No. Now, Alana's cool because she's basically Nishandra, but with more of an actual melee moveset, and she summons enemies. She can summon 3 different types of enemies. If you have average luck, she summons skeletons, which are, whatever. If you have really terrible luck, she summons fucking Velstadt with the smaller health bar. There's lore implications that Velstadt comes from Shulva, the city that this DLC takes place in. And if you have really good luck, she summons a bunch of little pigs that can't really do anything. So it's kind of an RNG thing, but that's always a neat aspect to include. And I'm personally a big fan of it. And now we get to the final boss in the Dragon Sanctum, and that would be Sin the Slumbering Dragon. Sin is pretty fucking good. Sin is a pretty fucking good dragon boss. Probably their best dragon boss up until this point. So Sin is a genuine ancient dragon. He's made out of stone. He has a giant spear shoved through his back, and he spews poisonous fire. And he has a pretty good moveset, pretty good soundtrack. Overall, pretty fucking cool guy. Cool. Sin the Slumbering Dragon is a pretty good way to top off the Crown of the Sunken King. Now we go over... Oh, by the way, you access this through the gutter, or Black Gulch. You go here after defeating the Rotten, because the Rotten's deep down in the earth, and as you would imagine, the Sunken City is deep down under earth. So, you go through there to get there. Now, going back to the Iron Keep, where we defeated the Old Iron King, we go into Broom Tower as part of the Old Iron King DLC, because the Old Iron King was an important guy back in the day, and he had his own crown. So we go to the place where they made all of the important shit that he had. His iron. Now, this place has a co-op area as well. The Iron Passage is, objectively even worse than the Path of the Dead. It's fucking awful. And you go through all of that to fight not a gank boss. Do you know what you fight instead? A blue reskin of the Smelter Demon.
Hi.
No. Hello.
Now, on the bright side... Oh, is Ace here? Oh, hello,
I've
Ace.
been here. It's
Ace, have you played any Souls games?
I have watched basically every video the Democracy, Vati Vidya, and 2 other channels have made about the series.
Excellent. Well, then you're informed enough.
Enough.
So, the Iron Passage is fucking dog shit. I would say the only good things about the co-op areas is that due to the bosses at the end of them being lazy reskins of other shit, or just straight up fucking NPCs, there is essentially zero reason to ever go through them unless you're a completionist. The Iron Passage is the only one that's even remotely worth going through, because then you can get a cool blue version of the Smelter Sword that does magic damage instead of fire. Oh, and I'm pretty sure Blue Smelter may actually have worse hitboxes than the original, which is fucking insane. And you have to go through the worst run, the second worst run in the series to get to him. So, kind of not worth it by, like, any fucking stretch of the imagination.
Also,
Actually, I'll bump him up to C because it's an actual boss, but you know, it's kind of shit. Actually, he's yeah, we'll put him there. So yeah, it's kind of shit. Anyway, time to get into the best bosses in Dark Souls 2. The other optional boss, because there's actually only 2 mandatory bosses in Crown of the Iron King. You go into the memory of the Old Iron King. So the Old Iron King has these Elan Knights, who are basically samurai wearing iron armor, which is pretty cool. And you may be wondering, why are they called the Elan Knights? Because they're named after a guy called Sir Elan. Sir Elan will be the first Dark Souls 2 boss that I put in S tier.
Every video I've ever seen about Dark Souls 2 says he's one of the best 3 bosses.
He is, and you know what? The best 3 bosses are all from the DLC. 2 of them are from Crown of the Iron King. So you could say that for like pure bosses, that's the best of the 3 DLCs. We're going to ignore the run to him because the run kind of sucks, but if you know what you're doing, you can really just like fucking run past everything. You fight him in a room with a marble floor so polished you can see your reflections on it, with the sunset coming through the window behind you. He gets up, he bows to you a little bit, and then you get into a fight. It's a great fight. There's nothing wrong with it other than the usual Dark Souls 2 hitbox problems. I'm not going to hold that against it, it's just a problem with the game.
It's almost like a prototype for Sekiro.
Yeah. If somehow you defeat Sir Elan without taking any damage or using any healing items, instead of going through his normal death animation where he just kind of dies, he will commit seppuku.
I didn't think you'd all be still going, honestly.
Well, there's a lot of bosses.
There's a fucking ton.
And we had an hour and a half of technical difficulty.
Yeah, the first stream 28, fucking shit itself like 50 minutes in. So this is the second stream for today.
I saw you post another upload.
Yeah. Unfortunate, but at least this is working. So
how are you going, like one game at a time?
I'm going through them in release order.
And you're only on the 3rd one?
Dark Souls 2 has like 40 bosses.
I know. And on average, it has the lowest quality.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you're gonna average it out, yeah.
I watched a 44-minute video last week about why Dark Souls 2 is a lot of people's favorite in the series.
Really? Is that from Sean? I know. Is it the video called In Defense of Dark Souls 2?
It was made very recently.
Oh, then that's not the one. But yeah, anyway, Sir
It comes down to Dark Souls 2 being a lot more careful and meticulous and realistic and skill-based.
I suppose. Anyway, Sir Elan's a cool motherfucker. Very cool guy. Now to get into another cool guy.
I turned him into a D&D boss fight.
Good idea.
Oh, hey, Griever.
I do that. Griever's back! Yay!
Yeah.
Okay, so we just got done putting in the first S-tier boss of Dark Souls 2, Soulsborne, the only samurai boss in the games that are not Sekiro, which takes place in feudal Japan.
Which,
But I
let's
forget, is
be
the
real,
game company
samurai
who
bosses,
makes
top
Dark
tier.
Souls
Go
Japanese?
right now. Go onto YouTube. Look up the Soulsborne boss fight. Put it in like get the newer version because the more recent version of the game that came out has way better graphics, so everything just kind of looks prettier. And then put it at like the highest resolution possible because fuck, does that fight look good?
But the series is made in Japan by From Software, headed by a man
Yeah.
named Miyazaki.
Yeah, every one
Yeah,
of the games has like katanas and shit, and they always make reference to the East. Somehow Soulsborne is the only boss we ever fight who is from the East.
In
Okay,
Sekiro,
I'm
there's a sub-boss who is a Western.
Yeah, I know, it's a funny twist. Then we fight one guy who's from the West.
You can't actually damage him properly, I think.
Yeah, I know, you have to basically just get poise damage on him until you can knock him off the bridge. Anyway...
Yeah, you gotta make him off the building screaming the name of his son.
Right. But yeah, Ace, listen, I've turned like half a dozen Souls bosses into bosses in my D&D campaign. And I will continue to do more.
I have a
How
stat
do I
block
get
for doing
into
this.
your D&D campaign if that's the truth?
Huh?
Nothing.
There's
Like, oh,
You can actually find a lot of stat blocks for, like, Manus and Bloodborne bosses.
Yeah, I know. People have made like whole monster manuals. Oh, right, Nadalia's on here for some reason. Nadalia's not an actual boss. She's more like an environmental hazard.
hey,
So
I'm gonna
she'll
be,
actually
looking
go
at the
above
Soulsborne
two of the
site,
actual
so
bosses in
I'll
D
be away
tier.
from my laptop for a second.
Okay. Now, finally a boss that surpasses truly anything from Dark Souls 1, the Fume Knight. Argued by many people to be the hardest boss in Dark Souls 2. The first time I played through the game, it took me 4 fucking hours to beat him. Fume Knight
So I've heard.
is tough. Very tough if you play the game in a certain way. So when you start playing Dark Souls, or if you start playing Dark Souls 2 and it's your first game in the series like it was mine, this wasn't my personal experience, but I saw it happen with other people, you are led to believe that you are meant to play the game by blocking with a shield and then attacking. You will never master the game until you realize shields are borderline useless other than for stat effects and parrying. Never block attacks. Always dodge. Because if you try to block when you fight Fume Knight, you're fucked. You're gonna die, like, instantly. Now, Fume Knight is a cool guy. He's a cool design. His armor's cool. His giant fucking Fume Ultra Greatsword is awesome. Fume Knight also has cool lore.
His weapons.
So, Velstadt and the Fume Knight, whose real name is Rame, were the two arms, the two hands of King Vendrick. But at some point, what likely happened was Rame realized, holy shit, Nishandra is literally an embodiment of evil. And the king was like, no way. Actually, I don't remember if Vendrick said anything like that. Essentially, Rame was loyal to Vendrick as a person. Velstadt was loyal to the throne. You get the difference there?
That sounds a lot like Chimera Ant.
A little, yeah. So, they thought Rame lost somehow. I guess he was a lot weaker before becoming the Fume Knight, so he just fucked off. And he ended up in Broom Tower. And it was here where he encountered Nadalia, who showed up to try and find the Old Iron King, but the Old Iron King had already died because of his own hubris. So she just kind of set up shop in Broom Tower, resurrected or not resurrected, but like animated the armors being forged there into like an army, and just sort of lived there in isolation. Okay, yes, now I remember all of them. So Rame shows up, and she's like, yo, what's up? Why the fuck are you here? And essentially, Ram's here because he was serving the royalty of his kingdom. He wanted to do what was in their best interest, and they said, fuck off, get out of here. So Ram was left without anyone to serve. So Nadalia was like, okay, why don't you just protect me, I guess. So he was like, cool,
So he's one
sure.
of those knights without a master who finds a corrupt master?
Yeah, basically. Though, Nadalia's not that corrupt. She didn't really harm anyone, but that was because she showed up too late to harm anyone. I don't know if she would. So while Nishandra represents want and Ilana represented wrath, Nadalia represents loneliness. Nadalia is the loneliness and isolation of Manus. 'Cause, well, she's pretty alone. She showed up to find a king who was already dead, and she got a kingdom of ashes. So then Raim shows up and is basically her only companion there. And she possessed his sword, pretty much. She possessed the Fume Ultra Great Sword, so he kind of hits you with her. Cool.
Kind of like from Record of Ragnarok.
Yeah, basically like a Voland.
I thought you were gonna say Soul Eater.
Oh, I guess that works too. Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Really.
I still have the Bed of Chaos hitboxes open on my phone. Jesus.
Good.
So, yeah, Raim's a pretty cool guy. Pretty cool dude. One of the coolest, but not the coolest. Over we go to the crown of the Ivory King, who is the only one who is not explicitly dead. It's a frozen wasteland.
Ivory.
The city of Aleum Lois was built on top of the Bed of Chaos, basically. And the Bed of Chaos just produces demons forever. So Aleum Lois was built to contain the spread of demons.
So, they thought about making a kingdom on top of a bed of demons.
Specifically for the purpose of fighting the demons.
Wise choice.
Aleum Lois's
Okay.
walls
It's a lot
are
less
not meant to
stupid than
keep
originally
people
thought.
out, they are meant to keep things in.
I forgot how much they retroactively tried to make Dark Souls 2 related to Dark Souls 1. despite
Yeah,
being
they
almost
did
completely
do
different
that
than
in
they
Crown
did.
of the Ivory King, but I don't have an issue with it because the Old Chaos is maybe one of the coolest arenas in the series. So, I don't care.
Sure, you know, but Dark Souls 2 is the only game Miyazaki had no part in making.
Yeah, I know B-Team made it, but I still like it because it's kind of doing its own thing.
It's like, what is that noise?
Oh, I don't know, waves do.
I'm just putting some ice into a cup so I can grab a cold drink.
Understandable.
It's really in summertime now.
I
That's
couldn't
what the
find
sound
an
is.
ice drain last
So,
night.
yeah, Aleum Lois is pretty fucking metal. Now, the first boss you encounter, which is initially invisible if you don't go and get an item for it, is Ava the King's Pet. This is a giant snow tiger that does magic attacks and shit. It's pretty
One
cool.
of four.
It protects the cathedral where the king's throne room is.
But there's a lot of cathedrals in Dark Souls.
And they like those. They're cool. They make for good
Aren't
boss
they
arenas.
basically a holy kingdom?
What was that, Ace?
Aren't they basically a holy kingdom ruled by literal gods?
Yeah.
Not literally. It's just everyone's kind of religious because it's a medieval setting, so everyone's like gods. Also, I'm pretty sure Aleum Lois was made from the ruins
Well,
of
when- I don't know
Pharosa,
if you should
which
count
worshipped
some
a
of
god
that
of
as
war,
gods.
so it would make a lot of sense to have a fucking church worshipping the god of war over the giant pit where you go to fight demons forever.
Vito literally created death.
It's really not clear how that works. I guess he did.
No, I think it was said that he was the first of the dead.
Yeah, it seems more like
So
he
he
was the
didn't
first to
start.
die, but that brings into question where the fuck the other skeletons came from.
Maybe he was just like a bunch of people who died?
It's not clear what the first of the dead means, if he's the first person to die, or if that means he's the greatest of the dead, I don't know. Anyway, yeah, Ava's neat. Anyway, you get through Ava to go to the Grand Cathedral, where you meet, where the fuck is she? Alsana, the Silent Oracle, who is also not a boss, and you go through way more fucking bullshit to get her soul than you do for Nadalia. But Alsana's a really good character, for reasons I'll get into when I talk about the person who is the star of this DLC. Anyway, time to talk about the other boss fight that I have literally never beaten. Actually, I will put Ludenzalen just above the Bed of Chaos. I'm going to tell you why I've never beaten Ludenzalen. Because Ludenzalen are at the end of the co-op area for the last DLC. Now, for some reason, as the DLCs progressed, they kept making the co-op areas progressively worse. I don't fucking know why. You go through the Frigid Outskirts, which is bar none, undeniably, the single worst area in any game FromSoft has ever made. It is a frozen tundra in a blizzard, so you can't see where the fuck you're going. You could literally just wander off into the wasteland, and it has these lightning reindeer enemies that move faster than it's possible for you to run, so you literally can't run away from them, and more than one of them will show up, and Dark Souls 2 hitboxes. So you have to go through all of that fucking bullshit to then get this, a reskin of Ava, but there's 2 of them.
Oh, yeah,
Fuck
that's
you.
the one I was talking about when I said Ava was one of 3 or 4.
Ava is one of 7. You only encounter 3. Dude just had 7 big lions, or tigers, for why not? He's the Ivory King. He's the coolest motherfucker ever.
But wait, there's more. These ones are black.
Yeah, these ones are in black, and they have evil fucking magic or some shit. Oh, did Neve say why she left? Oh, it's 5 a.m. there. Oh, good time to go to bed, I guess.
Well, I don't work tomorrow.
It's 2:30 in the afternoon for me, so I don't need to worry about work.
I left for work 11 hours ago, and I just now got back home.
So, now, time for the coolest, the best, my favorite fight. Oh, the Ancient Dragon's right here. Yeah, fuck you.
Why can't you beat it?
No, it's
You
the
mean
only
the
other one.
giant
I
red
talked about how
dragon
it's
that will
fucking
kill you?
bullshit. It is a bullshit boss. Fuck the Ancient Dragon. It's one of the only 2 with Ludenzalen that I've literally never beaten, because it's straight up not worth it. The amount of bullshit you have to go through to beat the Ancient Dragon is not even remotely worth what you get from it.
You mean the thing that looks like something from Toriko that kills you by turning to the left?
Yes.
Oh, gotta love it.
Boy.
Yeah, fuck that boss. Anyway, the Burnt Ivory King is currently the top of the list right now. To go fight him,
cool.
you go around Elaim Lois, you free the uncorrupted Lois Knights. So you have a squad of 4 guys. You and your 4 big knight guys jump down into a pit, into hell, and then fight an army of corrupted Lois Knights. Then a fucking
boy.
Oblivion Gate appears, and the Burnt Ivory King walks out of it to fight you, and maybe you have one of the knights left. And then at a certain point, his sword turns into a giant fucking lightsaber. So just based on pure visuals and aesthetics alone, it's the sickest shit ever. Then, you take into consideration that the Burnt Ivory King is the coolest guy in Dark Souls 2, maybe the coolest guy in any Souls game ever. because the Burnt Ivory King, or, just the Ivory King, was the guy who built Aleum Lois, because he was like, oh shit, the demons are a big fucking problem. So he built an entire city around the entrance to the Old Chaos to ensure that there would always be a vanguard there to fight off the demons. He built his throne above the entrance so that he would be the first line of defense against the demons.
Okay, this guy is a fucking badass.
Then we have Alsana, who is another fragment of Manus. Another one of the smallest fragments of Manus. Alsana is the fear of Manus. She was so small and so weak. The moment she came into existence, she feared that she would just cease to exist. And she sought out a powerful king to protect her. So she went and she found the Ivory King. And the Ivory King, being the awesome guy that he was like, yeah, sure, whatever, be my queen. The Ivory King knew that she was a fragment of Manus, that she was literally the embodiment of the darkness that birthed the Abyss. And he didn't care. He literally didn't give a shit. Whatever, I don't care about your weird family issues. Come live with me, it's fine. And he trusted her so much that when the time came that it was like, ah, shit, the demons are gonna overrun the city, he entrusted her to protect Aleum Lois as he and an army of his knights went and dove headfirst into the Old Chaos to hold it off for as long as possible, and she froze over the entire city to ensure that the Old Chaos would never break out and threaten the rest of the world. He sacrificed his own soul to satiate the Old Chaos for a time, and entrusted Alsana to protect everything in his stead.
I don't want to call you out, but are you reading the wiki right now?
No, I remembered it.
I just noticed that I'm on the video with my Discord.
Yes, I have. Griever told me about the stream overlay thing for Discord. I included that now because I don't remember if it was you. I think fucking someone in the comments for the Kengan video pointed out how that'd be really helpful to have for stuff. So it's here now.
Mine's not lighting up though when I talk. I wonder why.
That is strange. I don't know, but it shows that you're here. So.
Okay, good. I hope it doesn't just sound like you're a crazy person talking to yourself.
That would be weird, yeah.
So,
but anyway, yeah, the Burnt Ivory King is so fucking cool that I literally memorized his story.
I've never seen these little bits of art, or at least not in the last few years.
I do not know where they are from. They're very good.
Oh, so it's all the games are in one tier list.
And Sekiro, yeah. That's why we're here for so long.
Okay. I'm surprised you have Calamite and Manus and A and not S.
I don't enjoy fighting them as much as the S tier bosses. They're very good, but they tip a little over into the difficulty to a point where I'm kind of like, I'm not enjoying this that much.
That makes sense. I've heard a lot of people say Calamite is too bad. I mean, too hard.
Okay, it's fucking 11:45. I'm getting kind of tired, so what I'm gonna do now... Oh my god, I forgot the Prowling Magus! Fuck the Prowling Magus.
Oh, who in the what now?
A barely boss from Dark Souls 2. Actually, it's in, like, the Covetous Demon category of, like, barely being a fucking boss. Carrot asks, semi-off topic, what's your favorite Dark Souls 2 armor set? Because personally, mine is the Jester or Sir Alon's set. Ooh, that's a tough one. What do I usually go with? I really like... I think the Throne Watcher set is one of my favorites. This is really nice. It just looks really good. I haven't thought about that in a while. I think because I usually go for something really different for all of the builds that I do. that I've never really thought about which specific one. Oh my god, and I forgot the fucking duo dragon riders. This goes to show how many fucking bosses there are in this goddamn game.
Are there images of all of them at the bottom, like a normal tier list?
They are not in chronological order.
Oh.
So it's a little problematic. Okay, that's Dark Souls 2. I've run out of water.
I've heard some people really like the Pursuer.
I think he's pretty good. He took me fucking forever to beat on my first playthrough because it was my first Souls game ever.
He was pursuing you.
Yeah. But now he's easy money. Why the fuck is... Oh wait, no, Midir is drawn in this style. Why didn't they draw... I guess the
That's probably
Sekiro came out after this art was made.
Area.
Okay, what I'm gonna do now, for the sake of my sanity, is I'm gonna go through this really quickly, and I'm only gonna talk about bosses that I really, really like, aka A or S tier bosses. One Reborn.
You're gonna like make it a 3-parter.
Yeah, Jesus, fuck. One Reborn is basically Tower Knight, but not as cool. Celestial Emissary just kind of fucking exists.
After the stream, I'll take my dogs for a walk then.
Sounds like a good idea. Abriatus is a pretty solid boss, all things considered.
Yeah, just remember the 30-second delay. That's why my thing
Yeah.
wasn't showing up first.
Amygdala is here. They kind of exist. They're decent. They're a decent boss.
There's another one in the... You gotta remember the Chalice Dungeon bosses, of which I...
Are they even on here?
There's another version of the Amygdala and Parl in the Chalice Dungeon. The one that's truly original, for the most part, is the gatekeeping watchdog of the old...
There are a couple true originals. You have the Watchdog, the Keeper of the Old Lords, who was the first boss responsible for killing a character in my D&D campaign.
Is Thumerian Descendant one of them?
Thumerian Descendant, Thumerian Elder, the Undead Giants.
Okay, I need to look up a D&D campaign with Dark Souls.
That's what my next one is. It's basically just going to be kind of a Souls thing in terms of vibe. Mikolash, go fuck yourself, Mikolash.
Hey, what did Nikolash do to you? From
He
Brooklyn
sucks.
Nine-Nine?
Fuck him. Murgos,
You can run
Wetners.
down the hallway for 40 minutes, I bet.
Fuck that boss. Jesus. Murgos, Wetners is pretty
I
cool.
mean, you have to be in the BDSM to wear a giant bird cage on your head.
Oh, it's so that I can get eyes on the inside or something. I don't know. German S.
Ah, yes. Germain.
German, God, I love the setting, the character, the music. Oh my God, the music for German, the first hunter. Oh my God.
Indeed.
Oh, Moon Presence is okay.
Sounds like you just had an orgasm, man.
I have been waiting for like more than a year for that fucking Atlas guy to finally react to the German OST. He's been blueballing us for like a year. I have a comment on his, one of his reactions, I think it was Lawrence or Ludwig, one of them, where I was like, hey, you should listen to the German OST. It has like over 1,000 likes. It's the most liked comment I've ever put on another person's video. Yeah, Ludwig should go in A. I don't enjoy Ludwig that much, but I cannot deny the fucking splendor of a boss using the Moonlight Greatsword, and especially when the Moonlight Greatsword is actually relevant to the game.
In a 2-hour video series ranking every boss in the franchise.
I watched that, but it was only Dark Souls. It didn't have Bloodborne in it. So sad.
No, the one I watched, an updated version, Ludwig was #1.
Wait, they have an updated version?
Well, who did you watch? I watched like 4 different YouTubers.
Oh, if you can find that again, send me a link to it.
The Democracy did like 3 different versions. One was entirely made of community
Oh,
votes.
Democracies. Yeah, I've seen Democracies. Ludwig is or was his favorite.
Yeah, he ranked it #1.
Yeah, I remember that was for a while, and then Dark Souls 3 DLC came out.
I don't remember if he did it again after Sekiro came out or not.
He might have.
I know he
Anyway,
breaks the
Ludwig,
balls.
very kino. Living Failures are pretty decent. I think they're a little under. They're an boss.
A lot of us know what it's like to be a living failure, am I right?
Yeah. I feel like literally everyone had that reaction to seeing the boss for the first time. You walk through the fog gate into the Lumenwood Garden, and you're like, oh my god, it's me!
Oh, it's a mirror fight.
Amazing. The Living Failures OST is really fucking good. It is way too good for a boss of the quality of the Living Failures.
If you can even call them that.
Yeah, I know. It's like, what the fuck were these guys actually... The Living Failures is actually a pretty solid multi-enemy boss fight.
Oh.
The Living Failures, they're pretty solid. Cleric Beast, very good intro boss. I will put him around like, yeah, put him above the Lost Center. Lady Maria, S tier. I'll put her below German. I actually like the German fight more than Maria. Orphan of Cause. Orphan is one of those fights, like Ludwig, where I'm like, damn son. That's kind of rough. I don't think I've ever mastered that fight, and I never look forward to fighting the Orphan. He's too hard for me. He's too difficult.
I believe he was rated the most difficult.
He is, like, by a fucking mile. I remember when Sekiro came out and everyone was like, oh my god, Ishin is the fucking hardest boss ever. And then once you beat him for the first time, it's easy money.
You know what's the most entertaining way to experience the Soul series?
What would that be?
Watching the best of compilations of the Game Grumps beating all of the games.
That's great. Now, the best way to experience it is watching the super best friends play. Well, you know, when they were still together. I still cry every time. At least Pat and Wooly still hang out and do Castle Super Beast. I listen to that all the time.
I like to watch What Happened.
Well, what happened is, unfortunately, sometimes people just stop being friends with each other.
No, I mean, Matt's show, What Happened.
Oh, right, that. Yeah, that's pretty good. I don't watch Matt as much. I find him to be the least entertaining of the... What the fuck did they call themselves again? The Zaibatsu or something?
I thought you were doing a bit. The Zaibatsu is basically another term for like a Japanese Yakuza group or something.
Oh, I see. That's pretty cool. Lawrence. Fuck this boss. Do you know why fuck this boss? Same reason fuck the Smelter Demon. Hitboxes.
Oh.
Hitboxes. Fuck Lawrence's hitboxes. There are people that like this boss. I mean, Lawrence has an outstanding OST. I remember I listened to it with Clover one time, and it got to the solo violin part, and she had like an actual emotional reaction to it.
Imagine if
because she's a music nerd, so she has the knowledge to appreciate it on like a fucking academic level.
Imagine if someone told you after meeting the first boss in the game, you're gonna fight another cleric beast, but he's not gonna have any legs, so he's gonna be 5 times harder.
He has no legs, he's shitting out lava, and he will make you want to kill yourself. That's another boss. You add him onto the list.
Kill yourself.
You should kill yourself now. Don't. I'm not low tier god. He only gets away with that. I actually have no idea why he gets away with that.
I only know about him because of a meme.
That is the only reason I know of him as well.
My friend has him as a profile picture, but it's like super pixelated. I'm like, okay.
Yeah, that's pretty good. Father Gascoigne. Father Gascan is a solid A tier boss. He's not one of these ones. You know, we have kind of a range here where it's bosses where it's like, I kind of like them, but they're really fucking hard. And then we have ones that are just like, I really like them, but there's not anything that blows me away about them.
Makes it so much deeper.
What does?
His optional sub-quest.
Oh, it does, yeah. Hey guys, we're gonna kill an entire family.
Yeah, that's the thing with Bloodborne is every single side quest you do leads to them dying.
Or going insane. Bloodstarved
Except
Beast.
I think the only exception is the prostitute. And
No, she goes insane and gives birth to an alien child and then dies when you kill it to get the umbilical cord.
Yeah, and the church keeper's like, it's all my fault, I've done this. I'm like, you precious boy, you horrifying hunchback, it's not your fault, it's the game.
Bloodstarved Beast, he's like a high B tier. I remember when Bloodborne came out and everyone was like, oh my god, fuck the Bloodstarved Beast. It was a wall. It fucked people. And I think that was because when Bloodborne had just came out, that was when people were still getting used to playing way more aggressive than they do in Dark Souls.
Can I say something a little crude here?
Oh boy, let's hear it.
I've seen like clips of people fight the Bloodstarved Beast 15 times, and the only thing I can think of when I look at it is I can't identify this creature except as a living embodiment of the nightmare of a sex change operation.
Oh, Jesus. That is a little crude, yeah.
I need to see this. I need to see this now. What's it called?
The Blood-Starved Beast.
Its face is just two bloody flaps.
Yeah, it's just got flaps. It's old skin flaps. Vicar
That's
Amelia B somewhere B.
Bloodsworn Beast?
Blood-Starved Beast.
It wants your blood.
Wants your blood. Witch of Hemwick, it's fucking, you know, D tier. Shadows of Yharnam, I quite like, actually. I'll put them high B. They're cool. Rom,
it's creepy.
Rom, where do we put good old Rom? I'll put you top of C, because mechanically you're good, but fuck me, are you annoying.
Rom the vacuous spider was a woman.
So I've heard, yeah. Martyr Logarius, pretty good A-tier boss. One of the better humanoid bosses in the game. I would put him like up around here.
Who?
Martyr Logarius, the guy from Canehurst.
Oh yes, the rooftop.
Dark Beast Parl, you are one of the most visually stunning bosses they have literally ever fucking produced.
But they really want you to use the beast cutter on.
They want you to use all of the big poise weapons to fucking steamroll Parl. Anyway, that's Bloodborne. We did that in about fucking 15 minutes. Not bad. Aldrich, you're pretty good, I guess. I don't have
we're in Dark Souls 3 bosses now.
Yeah. You're pretty solid. Dark Souls 3 has the best quality overall of any of the bosses. Yorm, you're kind of like a fucking Storm King. You're like Storm King, but you're better from like a narrative perspective, and you're on fire in the second half of the boss. So yeah. Dancer, pretty good, pretty solid. I'd put you at like somewhere in A. I'd actually put you above, or no, that's fuck. Let's put you just below Ludwig. Hey Misc, thoughts on Bloodborne PSX? What is that? Is that where you're able to stream Bloodborne and are therefore able to play it on things other than just a PS4, like on your television? If so, pretty nice. Oh wait, no! No, that's the Redux thing, right? That's pretty cool. That's pretty fucking cool. The PS1 demake of Bloodborne.
Yeah, I was gonna say, isn't that yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty neat. That's a pretty fucking cool fan project.
Creative idea. Scott the Woz did a video on video game remakes.
Osiris, you're alright. Nothing crazy. You'll notice how most of the Dark Souls 3 bosses are going to be towards the tops of their respective tiers, because they are.
You gotta say the thing. Or should I say it?
Ocelot!
Boss.
Man, fuck you, Ocelot.
You killed a baby.
Champion Gundyr, the Chad Gundyr, the Chad champion versus the Virgin Udex.
There's Gundyr, then there's the cooler Gundyr.
Who are you? I'm you, but cooler, because I'm from the past, and that's how this shit works.
I'm late game.
Unless you're Gale, then Gale from the future is the
She
coolest.
tells you not to worry about.
Yeah, you. This boss scares the shit out of me. Every time I play the fucking game, every time I get to Champion Gundyr, he intimidates me. There are only a few bosses. This Midir Dragon Slayer armor, because they all hit like a fucking truck, or are just huge and intimidating. It's the only ones where I am not confident when fighting them. Also, because, well, I mean, like, holy shit, is Champion Gundyr so fast? He is so fast, and everything he does has so much impact. When he does it, it feels like it's getting hit with a fucking truck. The dude juggles you. He's like Manus. He can juggle you like fucking Dante. It's nuts.
Oh, Manus does have big fat juggling on.
Oh, he does. And Gundyr has that as well. It's a very powerful feature.
You could almost say he's got a monkey's paw wish.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Dragon Slayer armor is also pretty solid.
I thought you already did that one. Oh, the old Dragon Slayer is different.
Yeah. Princes of Lothric. Oh god, I love this fucking fight. S.
The double boss.
They are so good from a lore, narrative, and gameplay perspective. The flow of fighting Lorien is so good. I get more satisfaction out of it than maybe any other rhythm of any other Souls boss. It is so satisfying to roll through Lorien's attacks. You would not fucking believe it.
There's so many uses of the word Lorien in that game.
I know. I remember, like, it was like a week or two ago, Plague was complaining about how this boss sucks, that it's fucking bullshit or whatever, and I'm like, bro, just dodge. It's that easy. Just get better at the dodge timings. It's a fucking great fight. I think I put this fight in A in the last rank. I was being way too stringent with where I put the S tier bosses. Ancient Wyvern's a puzzle boss. It's not bad, but it's kind of eh.
I forgot there's a boss called the Penetrator.
Yes, he's great. Nameless King. Nameless King is not really S for me. He's pretty good, but I don't have enough in S. He's high A, though.
He's one of the more interesting bosses.
He is, for lore reasons. It's... Oh, remember that firstborn son of Gwyn, who has been erased from history, that we were all wondering about in Dark Souls 1? Yeah, here he is. Here you go.
I misheard you.
Yep.
The guy who's aligned with the dragons, basically.
As far as, like, entrances, he might be my favorite.
He does have a pretty cool entrance, yeah.
And then you kill his dragon.
And then he absorbs his power Ornstein style to fucking fight you with storm power. What a cool guy. Soul of Cinder. S for...
It's you.
It's you. It's you. All of you. And Gwyn. I remember when Dark Souls 3 came out, I didn't have the game yet. I was just watching through all of the bosses with the fucking Japanese text because for some reason they've released the game 3 weeks before they did in the West in Japan. I don't fucking understand why. Like, they delayed it in the West, but not in Japan. It was so weird.
Ask the guy who created the games.
Yeah, I don't know. I assume it would have been the publishers, though. Anyway.
Yeah, probably.
When they got to... First, I was watching it. I'm like, oh my god, this is so fucking cool. Then they go to the second phase. When he changes up his moveset and suddenly Gwyn's theme starts playing, like Sully starts creeping in the OST, I got fucking emotional. It is such a fucking good send-off for the series. It's unreal.
It's Shellen.
Sorry, I gotta take a call real quick.
Bye, Wave.
And so it is, where it all began.
Udex is the best tutorial boss. He's pretty good.
Who?
Udex Gundir.
Oh, yeah. This is such a weird word. What does that mean?
It means judge in Latin.
Oh!
Champion Gravetender, the laziest, second, worst DLC boss. It's just a guy and then a big wolf. It's just, yeah.
Like, you couldn't even tell it was a boss without the bar.
Yeah, it's like, the fuck? Pretty meh, if you ask me.
That's one of the worst signs of a boss, is if you didn't have the UI, you wouldn't be able to tell
It's like, why is this a boss? I don't know. Black Flame Friday. This is the one, this is in the Orphan of Cause camp, where mechanically, out fucking standing. In terms of personal enjoyment, nah. That's another boss where I don't think I've ever gotten good at. It's so fucking long. The boss fight takes fucking forever.
God, remember when the trailer first came out for that, and people was like, "Oh, what is this gigantic masochist?
What's this giant flagellating Birdman? Clearly he'll be the boss."
And he's like,
you were only technically right.
Is it like a bowl of lava and he's just smacking you with it and then
oh, is this guy the big boss of the DLC? Well, yes, but actually no.
Do you know all the background lore between the sisters and their dad and all that?
No, I found Dark Souls 3 lore to be some of the most confusing out of the games.
Well, I'm a bit out of practice, but to sum it up really simply, basically it seems like, you know, the 2 or 3 sisters, Freida's one of them, and the big guy is their dad.
Oh, that's cool.
And I believe he was one of the painters of a world.
Yeah, that seems to be implied based on how it's named after him.
Yes, they all have that same naming scheme among them. And they were like, I want to preserve this world, to make it the last remnants of humanity. And they're like, the world will rot away, you can't possibly save it. Then fine, let us perish along with it.
Not very utilitarian of them.
Well, I might be getting a few details mixed up, but it's basically the 3 sisters not agreeing with what their dad should do. And you can tell by his state, he's not really making any decisions anymore.
No, he's not. Next, let's get some, Demon Prince. Demon Prince. Very good, very fucking good boss. And tough, but in a good way. Half-Light. Oh, it's the Old Monk Dark Souls 3 edition. So I'll just put him wherever the fuck I put Old Monk. I don't remember where I put him. Where the fuck did I put the Old Monk? There he is.
It's so weird watching the stream with a delay.
I know. Let's get some of the mid out of here. Vort, he's okay. He's an alright boss.
Oh wait, Gale.
Don't worry, I'm saving those.
Okay. I was just guessing which one you were doing next out of the brief glint I got at the list.
Curse Rotted is there, I guess. I guess I can do Madir. Madir is like the Free and Cause situation, but I think I actually understand how to beat Madir consistently. It's just
better Calamite.
Madir is the best dragon boss.
Yeah.
I think Miyazaki, I don't know if it was Miyazaki or if it was the FromSoft account that said basically Madir is intended to be the last big challenge for Dark Souls fans.
Boy, was he, right?
Basically, we took the really good movesets and shit from Sin and then made the giant fuck-off dragon boss that we always wanted with Dragon God and the Ancient Dragon and made, oh my god, an actual pretty fucking good boss fight.
Man, what is it with this disappointing Ultimate Dragon fights in the early games?
Because they didn't figure out how to do it yet.
Like, the most iconic thing of Demon Souls is that giant-ass dragon.
I know, I brought that up earlier in the stream. It's like, this is literally like the most iconic thing from the game, and it's the worst fucking thing in it. Did
they fix that in the remake?
Nope. The remake is a remaster with some stuff added.
Shit.
Yeah, I know. They really should have fixed some of the fucking garbo from the original, but then people would have bitched about them changing things. People would have complained about them changing shit.
Well, I heard both people complain about that. They didn't change enough.
Which trailer are you talking about? The cinematic one or the one that has gameplay? The reveal was just a remaster of Demon Souls intro, I thought, in which he also shows up.
But people weren't sure about what it was at first. Let's call the body.
Yeah. Where was I? Oh, right. Crystal Sage is okay. He's a fucking, he's a alright boss, I guess.
Crystal Sage looks cool, but I don't really see much.
Yeah, Deacons.
Deacons, find the move.
They're down there. Farron's Undead Legion. I lost them. Shit. There they are. We got them up somewhere in A tier. Gotta put them above the dancer. They're so fucking cool.
What do
Wolnir.
you think of the dance bar?
They're cool, I guess. Wolnir's a puzzle. I mean, he's cool looking, but he's a puzzle. Old Demon King is kind of depressing, but neat.
Hey, I was gonna mention, there's a lot of them that just have demon in there.
Because they're demons. It's just how it is.
There's like the Prince of Demons.
Yeah,
The
the
Demon
first
Prince.
boss of the entire series is, what was it called? The something demon. I mean, in Dark Souls 1. What was the first boss in Dark Souls 1?
The Asylum Demon. That's because the demons were really important in Dark Souls 1, because the fucking Chaos Flame existed. So you had the Asylum Demon, the Stray Demon, Demon Fire Sage, Taurus Demon, Capra Demon.
There's a lot of
Actually, I think that was all of them. There are, but that's because the demons are one of the big factions.
And then there's the one in Sekiro, which is basically a Bloodborne boss, and it makes you really sad.
Yeah, because it should not be in the game. It's kind of bullshit. I literally only choose it.
It's also one of your hub NPCs.
Yeah. Pontiff Sullivan is really good.
For some reason, I'm very tempted to do a power scaling thing of like a demon, of like all the bosses in Dark Souls in One Punch Man scaling. I don't know why.
That is very specific. Anyway, Gale. I saved him for last because he will be the top of the list.
Yeah.
You know, for the rest of this, he's top of the list. He is the very peak.
After that DLC came out, he beat Ludwig for #1.
Uh-huh. Gale is the best boss they have ever made.
Indeed.
He is the perfect ending for the Dark Souls series. Gale is nobody. He is a fucking no one.
He's you again.
He's you again. You fight a nobody, piece of shit undead in the ground up ashes of the world at the end of time to get the dried up remains of the dark soul of man. Holy shit, son.
The painted world.
The story aspects of the fight are great. Yeah, Jesus Christ, I know, Bob. It's fucking metal as shit.
What is?
Gale's, like, the concept for Gale's fight. The premise of it is fucking bananas. It's fucking off the walls.
Oh yeah, and remember, not only did he shove you into another painting, but he's the knight of the girl, the youngest, newest painter who's trying to create a new world, and she's like, Uncle Gale should be back soon.
Yeah, and we're like, damn, bitch. No, he's not.
Well,
So, what the implication is that Gale didn't do the same shit we did. We fast-forwarded into the future so we could get to the point after which Gale had eaten everyone. It's not even clear if he just ate the pygmies or if he just went around and started eating everyone.
The fervent pygmy.
So Gale went to go get the Dark Soul, but when he found the Dark Soul and the pygmies, it was all dried up because the pygmies are fucking a bajillion years old and they're just old pieces of shit. So he ate them so that the Dark Soul would be taken into his body and be rejuvenated because he's not a dried up piece of shit despite being really old. And then he just went eating like all of the humans he found because the Dark Soul is humanity. Humans have the Dark Soul. So he was just going around collecting more Dark Soul for however long until we go to the Ringed City until the literal end of time. So we just skip to the end of time to fight him and get the Dark Soul. When you get Gale's soul, that is the actual Dark Soul.
And remember at the start of that fight,
named after the entire series.
Yep.
I finally found it. The Dark Soul. You possess it, do you not?
The real Dark Soul was within us all along. No, really. No, like, seriously. But we knew that since the first game. The Dark Soul is just the original humanity, and humanity is able to divide infinitely. So,
the
yeah.
final battle in the Dark Souls series was between the two final Dark Souls.
There you go. It's two nameless, accursed undead fighting in the ashes of the world at the end of time over possession of the Dark Soul of man. Fuck.
Also, one of the funniest things about the Ring City is you can find this really nice amnesiac guy who's your best friend.
Yeah, don't we all just love Lap the Amnesiac?
And it's fucking Patches.
It's Patches, and even Patches is like, man, I don't even know why I'm doing this shit anymore. Anyway, good luck. Bye.
It's fucking Patches.
I wonder if we'll meet Patches again in Elden Ring.
Remember when he was a spider?
That was weird. Remember when he wasn't Patches, technically? He was Pate?
He was in Demon Souls, wasn't he?
That's
In a
the
way.
original. Patches the hyena. Not an actual hyena, they just call him that.
Yeah, he laughs a lot.
Yeah, his sword is rusted and broken. I feel like that's one of the less notable things about Gale, but it just goes to show, like, he has been fighting for so long that his sword is fucking broken.
I made him one of the final bosses in my first D&D campaign.
Gale?
Yeah.
Why not? Fuck it. What was the context for it in the story?
Well, basically, I had multiple storylines going where I ran sort of a West Marches campaign by myself.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the culminations of these storylines was based on combining the Dark Souls lore so that the Manus was a demon lord of corruption, and he basically took 4 of the greatest heroes of legend and either corrupted them or killed them and possessed their body or something, and basically turned them into the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse.
Well, that's pretty awesome.
The Nameless King and Gale were 2 of them, and another one was Lancelot from Fate Zero.
Oh, cool. Which horseman was
His soul
Gale?
was the Hexblade.
So who was the third one? I mean the fourth one?
I'm trying to remember, with the Nameless King, Gale, Lancelot, and, the 4th one they defeated in an earlier time. It was Artorias.
Ah, of course. Pretty solid. And now, what horseman was Gale supposed to be? Or was it they not, like, the horseman?
I believe, if I did
I think
give
it would be like Famine. It makes sense for him to be like Famine since he ate a whole bunch of people.
That would work.
Well, I was basing it more on the big hole in his chest.
Yeah. Would he be Death?
If
I could
remember
definitely
correctly,
see like the king as in, like the Nameless King as War.
I've also seen multiple different versions of the 4 Horsemen, like from Marvel Comics.
Yeah.
But if I remember
I've
correctly,
seen. You want to hear some of the worst Horseman titles? It's like from Darksiders. I like it, most of the stuff from that game. It's just I hate like how they kept 2 of the names like Death and War.
Well, because they
but then
figured
just
making
Strife
Famine
Fury.
and Pestilence into cool protagonists would be really hard. Though I kind of wish that they would do it, because it would probably be really cool if done right.
I love the one they made with the guns, Strife. right?
Yeah, Strafe's awesome.
Yeah, I like him. He's like my favorite.
Uh,
But I can see him as like Famine or something like that.
they all got their own game by now. Sun Eater says he then stands up and fights like a sane person again. I shit you not, Sun Eater. The coolest thing in any of the games is when someone starts off as like a beast or they're in this decrepit state, and then in the second phase of the boss, they stand back up on their feet and take back up some resemblance of their former glorious self. It's always, without fail, the coolest shit in any of the games. It's the coolest
That
with fucking
but it
Ludwig.
is cool. Like normally in games, you go like a guy goes from an honorable warrior to more like a beast or fighting. Dark Souls goes like, yeah, you get these horrible beasts and horrible beings. They gain a bit of themselves back, and then they retake a bit of their honor.
Yeah, like it happened. It was fucking badass as shit when it happens with Ludwig. When Lorien gets back up, the coolest thing about Lorien is that he fights you on his fucking knees. And he has one attack where he forces himself up onto his feet to do a big overhead strike. It's so cool. And it's the best ever when Gale does it, because it's Gale. It's the end.
Lorien lost the use of his legs, saving his brother Lothric.
Lorien was like, oh shit, Lothric, my brother, was born. This frail and sickly child cursed by our terrible bloodline. I will willingly share in my brother's curse so that he doesn't suffer by himself. Lorien is the biggest Chad in Dark Souls 3.
And then you have, what was his name? Aldrich ate the remains of bosses from Dark Souls.
Oh yeah,
1.
he just went around eating gods, as you do.
He ate those corpse, apparently.
Yeah, apparently. So that was Dark Souls 3. Now to speedrun through Sekiro. I think this is Owl Father, which is pretty fucking good.
There's 2 versions of that boss, too.
Huh?
There's 2 versions of that boss.
Technically 3 if you do the boss gauntlets.
Oh, yeah.
Which is basically the second version, but with even more alterations. The Divine Dragon is the coolest. It's the best done. Wait, why the fuck did I put Owl Father in B? It should be an A.
You mean set piece? Is that what you're gonna say?
Yeah, he's the best set piece boss by far.
What you looking at, Luna?
Yeah, set piece boss blows it out of the fucking park, if you ask me.
Also, he lost an arm and has a scar on his face just like you!
Yeah, I think it's implied that he lost that shit because of fucking owl cutting the branch off the tree. I think there was some correlation between that.
Owl is a dick.
He is. He is a humongous fucking asshole.
Terrible father.
Yeah, pretty shit.
Also, it's revealed through like very subtle storytelling. He set the fucking place on fire in the first place.
Yeah, he did do that. Man, that took forever. I realized that thing's actually pretty high B. Demon of Hatred is going low B because it's in the wrong game. You spend the entirety of Sekiro learning, stop playing Dark Souls and Bloodborne. Anyway, after you're done doing that, here's a Bloodborne boss. Yeah, fuck you.
It's a very tragic story.
Yeah, but his story is really good. This is the False Corrupted Monk, which is basically the Corrupted Monk, but kind of weak sauce.
So it's just the cheap knockoff.
Yeah, it's a cheap
knockoff.
knockoff.
Guy. The guy, you versus the guy she tells you not to worry about.
Ganichiro, the very good mid-game boss.
I don't think she would worry about dude with the... Well, the monk is a woman, I think.
The monk is a woman, yes. Here we have the Guardian Ape, which is a very good beast boss. Figuring out the exact positions of these after so fucking many things being placed here is really hard.
Thanks, Miss. Now, after the stream, for tomorrow and probably for the next week, I'm just going to be looking up Dark Souls lore.
Good idea. It's great. It's the best.
Well,
Oh, wait. Oh, no, wait. That's the Guardian Ape. This is the Headless Ape, which is a duo. It's kind of bullshit.
Yeah, there's a 2-stage boss fight, and then you fight both stages at the same time.
Yeah, that is no bueno, if you ask me. Gyobu, who's basically the reason to play the game in English.
My name is Kyobu.
My name is
Slim Shady. Lady Butterfly, very good. Very hard. They're kind of hard until you learn how to fucking cheese the shit out of her.
Yet another person proving that manipulating strings is OP.
That it is.
Of course, the Japanese would find a way to make.
Then we have Normal Owl, who is kind of like that one, but not as good.
You got Trophy, you got.
The puzzle boss, our other puzzle boss. Yeah, they're not really much of a fucking boss, to be honest. The monkeys, the whatever monkeys.
Oh, yeah. You know, there's always one
There it is.
I'm gonna put this around the pinwheel tier. The D tier has two kind of sides. This is so fucking easy it's laughable, and then if I didn't know what I was doing and were playing this for the first time, I would fucking quit if I ran into this. Or alternatively, there's subsections to that. There is, I would stop playing if I ran into this, or fuck this, I will never play this in my life.
Yeah, I was able to pretty accurately predict who would be when you said that.
Hell yeah. Now we have the True Corrupted Monk, who is awesome. We will put them
Okay.
kind of high, if you ask me. I quite like them. Then we have Ishin Hashina, the Shura ending Ishin, who has a fucking awesome intro. Oh my god, I love his intro so much.
Can you explain something to me?
Sure.
Throughout the most of the game, Ishin is going around being Batman, right?
Correct.
And in the bad ending, he fights you if you beat up his granddaughter.
Yes.
But in the good ending, a version of him crawls out of the guy's mouth.
It's actually out of a hole in his shoulder, but yeah.
Yeah. Does that mean Ishin dies at some point during the game?
Yeah, after you beat the Divine Dragon and go back to Ashina Castle, literally the first thing you see is that Ishin's fucking dead.
From what?
Being old and sick.
Okay, so I've watched a lot of videos about the game and the bosses, but that's never been brought up. I'm like, when did he die?
Yeah, he dies like right as soon as basically the final act begins.
Okay. Either way, he dies. And
Yeah.
then like an hour later, he's like, what the fuck is this?
Yeah, an hour later he gets resurrected from the fucking underworld, and then either because he's compelled to do what Genichiro wants, or because he's like, oh, I'm fucking immortal now, I can actually win? Cool, he fights you.
I think it's like a honor obligation.
Yeah, I think that's what it was. It was like, oh, Genichiro, my fucking dumb idiot grandson, be that as it may, just killed himself to resurrect me to fight you, so I guess I should do that.
I would have liked a DLC where you got Lady Tomo away.
I am so sad they did not make an actual DLC, but the boss gauntlet thing is cool. I'm glad they finally added one into their games. Ishin is S. I don't think anyone disagrees with this.
I can't wait for Elden Ring.
Me neither, my man. And with that, I finally finished this fucking tier list. Holy shit, son. That was like over 100 items. I think there's like 100 and... I think there's like 100 and something. I don't fucking know. Yeah, it's cool that Owl's proud of Sekiro when you kill him.